I got
Here we
some
go.
crazy dogs.
Now we are live.
This shit's fire.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live Pin the Gas podcast on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. I hope everybody's Sunday is full of love, laughter, family, and proper mega wheelies. And I hope everybody watched the MotoGP race today. Of course, the Moto2 and the Moto3. I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't. What are you doing on this Sunday? I understand you got laundry and all that, right? But fold the clothes while you're glued to the TV or your cell phone watching the GP race. Come on, people, let's go. AJ, come on, man, let's go, right?
Oh, man.
Dude, for real. But you guys know the deal. This episode is sponsored by Next Level Financial. Control of your financial future. Get your complimentary financial analysis today by Seth Starnes. And AJ, I tell everybody this. Don't spend your hard-earned money on an off-the-rack suit, because for 95% of us, it's not going to fit you correctly. When you have a suit that does not fit you correctly, it hinders all kinds of bike issues, right? And everything, the whole aspect of riding. So I recommend people go to bisontrack.com, get your custom suit started today. It's super easy to do, and it's custom tailored measured specifically for you. So it's going to fit 100%, give you the flexibility you need, the mobility you need, the whole nine, right? You guys see my right here, right? And it's weird backwards sometimes, AJ.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is my first custom suit, AJ, and it's made the world of a difference. Like when you see them and people talk about them, it's one of those things until you try it on and you actually take that leap of faith and you get it, it makes the world of a difference. So again, bisontrack.com, people, go sign up. It's super easy. And Robert and Tasha are some of the best people you're ever going to meet in the paddock, and what they do for our sport's absolutely amazing. So bisontrack.com. Let's freaking go, right? But ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor to sit down with the legend himself, Aj Peaslee. What's going on, AJ?
How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Been super excited to sit down and have this chat since we met at Mid-Ohio, which was amazing.
Crazy weekend.
It really was a crazy weekend. And I tell people, like, that was my first experience at Mid-Ohio. I've always watched it on TV, right? But I think that it's the way they got both pits set up is just kind of crazy with the fence around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's unlike any
levels. There's like
the
bottom level down by the garages. There's like the wonky mid level and then the upper level. So it was our first time there too. So yeah, it was wild, dude. It was a big learning experience.
It really was, right? I'm sure it was for you, because is that your first time riding at the track too,
Yeah,
as well?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they gave us like the Dunlop test day, the Thursday of that weekend. So that was cool. I think like everybody got some extra track time, but I mean, just the track conditions were gnarly. It was like the greenest track I'd ever felt like I'd been on. It was so slick. And then like two big rainstorms throughout the weekend, and it made just for a wild time. And like definitely the biggest crowd that I've ever seen at a Moto America race, at least in my career. So that was pretty cool too.
It was, yeah, I would have to agree. For all the Moto America races I went to, except for Wisconsin. Wisconsin was pretty big too. Not throughout the whole weekend, but definitely Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, Mid-Ohio from the beginning on Friday was absolutely jumping, which is good to see, you know. Plus, I think a lot of that had to do with the first time coming back in 10 years, you know, so the in-town people were super excited. They're like, yes, we get to go watch some racing again.
And I think like that part of the country just goes to stuff. They just like go to events, you know. It felt like everybody was coming out, and like even for the super hooligans, like we were out early, but man, like it was packed. Like the grass side was just, or like the hillside was just packed with people, like even at the 8:30, 9 a.m. sessions for like warm up or practice or whatever. And so that was pretty cool. I was, pretty unique, but just the whole experience there is pretty special.
Oh, it was absolutely. And it's a good spec. Every time I go to track, AJ, I think of it a couple different ways. Like, obviously it's good for the riders, but how is it for the spectators? And as far as where you got to walk, how far you got to walk, and the merchandise and the concession. Because some tracks you show up, there's not a whole lot of merchandise stands.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And everything's so spread out. You almost need to rent a golf cart or bring a little pit bike just to get around.
Definitely.
Mid Ohio was absolutely amazing. They had good food, good vendor food, and yeah, the whole
That's
nine.
good.
So, and my good buddy Luca Allen from BSB was there, so that was a bonus plus for
Very cool.
sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is a big thing, I think, like with tracks is like, especially for Moto America events, like you want it to be as awesome for the fans as possible, you know, like, and I'm a spectator too sometimes, right? Like if I'm at MotoGP at Coda, like I definitely take that into account for like how far you got to walk to go see this or do this. So like Mid Ohio had everything. I mean, they had the vendors, the merch, all the fans, like the best places to watch. Like, so it's a good track.
It reminded me, not the way it was, well, kind of the way it was set up. Not the what I mean by that, not the layout, but how everything was confined, like VIR. I'm so happy Moto America is coming back to
Hmm.
VIR. It's my local track, and VIR is like that, right? You park, you depending on how late you show up, how far you got to walk to get down there. But once you're down there, everything's so close. You don't
Yeah.
really need a pit bike unless you do want to ride around it and see
Yeah,
other spots of the track for sure. But it's just,
definitely.
yeah, it's absolute. But you get your exercise in, right? So
Sure. Yeah, like
no
Laguna's
excuses.
like that, man. Like
Yes.
Laguna's got everything right there. If you want to see the corkscrew, like okay, it's a hike, but it's kind of worth it, you know. Get a
Oh,
little
it's
exercise.
definitely
Like,
a hike, bro. I've
but
been
like,
there. Yeah.
no, I was just gonna say like Coda. Like, if we're out there for like MotoGP, it's like okay, Moto2's up, okay, and then we gotta plan out how to get over to like the chicane or get over to like the S's or whatever. Turn one. It's like a 40-minute walk. It's like you gotta literally plan your whole day around like where you're gonna be at the track next. So it's a huge, huge complex. I like a track. I mean, I love Coda, but it's a home track for me here in Austin. But like I like a track that has a little bit of accessibility, like Laguna, VIR, Mid Ohio. But yeah,
Oh, for sure. That's one thing. I go to Coda every year for the MotoGP race. So when I come this year coming up, we definitely got to get together for sure.
definitely, man.
Um,
Definitely.
But yeah, Coda's like that too. One thing I noticed all the years I've been to a MotoGP race, it's not like any Moto America race where people can just show up and ride their little pit bikes around. There is absolutely none of that. And you're right.
Yeah.
Things are like freaking miles away. It's like, dude, from turn 15, you want to go all the way up there past turn 1, dude, you're walking all the way
Yeah.
around that bad
You're
boy.
gonna either miss a session due to the amount of walking, or you're just you gotta figure something out. Yeah, Coda's very strict on like, pit bikes or golf carts or any like it's very much like an event venue. It's not like a racetrack where like shenanigans happen.
At least not for the fan shenanigans,
I guess
but
not, yeah.
behind all that, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. You're right, man. But yes, listen, enough about all that. AJ, I want to get into your story. Tell us where your adventure started, at what age you started riding motorcycles.
Right on. Yeah, so I'm originally from Portland, Oregon. So my family moved up when my mom was actually pregnant with me. I have a couple of older sisters who were born in Orange County, California. So my parents grew up down there. And so like my dad grew up, riding dirt bikes and racing and doing all that and like kind of just that whole lifestyle like in the 70s and 80s and whatnot. And so I grew up in Oregon, a little different vibe. But I mean, I love it up there. I love the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, kind of just, I don't know, just got a dirt bike at like, I think I was like 6 or 7. But just kind of, I don't know. I'd always like known about dirt bikes and we went to Washougal every year. And I guess my dad just got me like a little KTM 50, like the little no clutch, just all gas little thing, and was zooming around like Salem indoor track there in Oregon and a couple of tracks nearby like Albany, Oregon. But yeah, kind of did it like casually, not like we weren't like, year round. We were not like heavy into the racing. It was just like a fun thing to do. Like I played so many other sports and like dirt bikes and motorcycles in general were like such an awesome thing for me, but it never seemed like the main thing that we were like into, which like I loved them like deep down. I was like, man, that's a pretty sick like way to live, I guess. But I guess you just get caught up with like not that I'm complaining, but you get caught up with like football, baseball, all kind of the normal stuff. So I fell more into that like a couple years later. So I did the dirt bikes when I was little, but again, just raced locally, like pretty casually. Had like a 65 and raced on that for a little bit, and then kind of just focus went to football and wrestling, and I did that for so many years, like all through high school, and trained a little bit, like even past high school through college, and just like it was such a time investment that there wasn't really time for anything else. So I mean, I didn't even know about road racing, man. Like I knew about dirt bikes, like Ricky Carmichael, Bubba Stewart, like all those guys, Greg Albertine, like Mike LaRocco, like old school dudes. Like they were the guys I loved, and like I'd heard of like Valentino Rossi, and I'd heard of Nikki Hayden. This would have been like 2003. So he would have been like coming off the AMA wins and whatnot. And then, yeah, just kind of like, that's cool. Like those guys, they do road racing on street bikes. Like, cool. Okay. I didn't really think much of it. And then my uncle bought us Faster, the documentary from like the Biaggi Valentino days, and we watched that, and it was just like, it was so sick. And then he also bought us the Laguna one. I forget what it's called, like the Kentucky Kid one.
Texas Tornado, Kentucky Kid. Yeah.
So that was like, we watched that like the next night. I was like 15 at this point. I was like in high school, like deep into football and wrestling and all that, and like just kind of doing the normal sports stuff, and had not touched a motorcycle in a long time, like at least 5 or 6 years, since I was 9 or 10. But yeah, so I was 15. This would have been, yeah, it's 2008. So we watched that movie, and it was just like something clicked, man. Like it was like life changing. And I asked my dad, I was like, because like I knew the track was in California, and I was like, so these guys go there every year? And he's like, yeah, it's the World Championship. They do a big world tour, and they stop by Laguna. It's an iconic track. And so I was like, can we go? And so he was like, yeah, of course. And so we went. Like when we went, man, like, so my first motorcycle race ever was the Stoner Rossi battle at 08 Laguna. Like I was like, holy shit, man. And it was, and the AMA guys were there, and they were ripping around, and I saw the 600s, like the Super Sport kids, and I was like, wow, like maybe I could do that one day. Definitely not, MotoGP, but just watching that movie and seeing that in person, man, I'll never forget. Like it was something clicked in my head. Like, wow, I want to do that. So that was kind of the turning point.
Yeah, sure. It's funny you mentioned the Texas Tornado, and the Kentucky Kid. That was based on the 2005 race at Laguna. That was the first year
first race
I was there. I was there.
Awesome. I heard that was the year that was like super hot, right? It was like 100 degrees or something.
It was miserable.
Wow.
I remember, bro, AJ, I remember pulling up. Like my cousin drove from here out there. I couldn't get that much time off work, so I flew from here to San Jose. He picked me up. It was like 45 minutes away from Monterey because we stayed there.
Yep.
And I remember going into the track, and we were literally, it was like 3-hour backup just to get into the track on a Friday. Wow. It was absolutely incredible because it was the first year, Grand Prix been back in the United States, and we're hot. There's no gas stations. I remember this big ass semi, Rockstar Energy, pulls up, stops, back doors open up, and they're just handing everybody Red Bull drink. Rockstar Energy drinks on the side of the road. That's right. Awesome. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome, right? But of course, now everybody's gonna be amped up on energy drinks, and everybody's gonna have to pee at the same time, right? And it's a long line to get into the track. So, but yeah, it was absolutely amazing. But during that filming, I'm actually in it. You don't see my face, but you see me jumping in the back on the scene where Rossi comes out and the crowd runs up over there. I got this backpack on it, and
that's awesome.
I yelled, "Yeah, advisor!" I stopped it. I was like, "No fucking way, dude! Check that out!"
That's awesome, man.
But yeah. So listen, a transition going to 08, which was proper mega, dude. Him and Stoner, dude. Rossi should not have won that race. It was Stoner's race.
He just refused to lose, man.
Dude refused, right?
Yeah.
But after seeing that, obviously you got into doing track days.
Well, not really. I mean, like I got a CBR 600 probably the year after. I think I was like junior in high school. So like maybe it was 09 or 10. But yeah, like started riding on the street, actually, just full, street legal bike, cruising around with like the local groups, and still in high school and all that. My parents actually rode. So like my mom had a Ducati Monster, and my dad had like a Ducati, I think it was a 1098S. And they still have them. They still have the bikes. But yeah, so I kind of learned that way. Like, again, did the motocross when I was young, and then kind of like had to not relearn how to ride a bike, but definitely, totally different to jump to a full size street bike. So did that for a little bit. Did a track day at like Portland International at one point, and maybe like the Ridge, when the Ridge like really first opened, just on, street tires, like, like novice group basically. And, kind of just went from there. And that was back when I met Eric Dorn for the first time, like with EDR Performance, because he's, he was the local dude in Portland that everyone went to, and super nice guy. So Eric's known me since I was a teenager, and just not, knew nothing about track days or road racing. And then did that. It didn't really like think about racing much, I guess, still, which is, I know, weird, just because my priorities were so different. Like football and wrestling, again, were like so big for me, and like that was what all my friends did. And it's so time consuming too. Like even at the high school level, like football is like a full-time gig, like 6 a.m. lifting, you go to school all day, 3 hours of practice, you get home at 9 p.m., basically just go to bed and do that for the whole fall. And then wrestling in the winter is like man, it's brutal. It's brutal sport. But I learned a lot, you know, and it definitely set like a precedent for who I am and like my work ethic and toughness and everything. But you know, so they taught me different skills than racing. But anyway, like went to college, went to Oregon State University, and then eventually we sold the CBR and we got an R6. It was like a, so this would have been 2013, I think. So I'm like a sophomore now in college or whatever. I know this is a long story. I feel like it's
No,
boring.
you're good, bro.
But
No, it's
anyway,
not.
we took it to EDR. Eric was like, okay, here's like a track build, or here's like a bike you can turn into a race bike eventually. So we did that, and then started doing some track days, like again at the Ridge and PR and whatnot, and started to do it, get more seat time, but still just not very often. Like I just never rode very often. So I was probably slow as hell, but you know, I was having fun. I thought it was cool, you know, just to be out there on a racetrack was like so sweet. And then finally learning about like slick tires and tire warmers and actually setting a bike up and doing that. And then got my novice license near the end of college, like at like 2014 or something, like 2015, something like that. And then my parents actually moved to Colorado. So I was going to school in Oregon still. They moved to Colorado. And so like my bike's halfway across the country. So I would have to like fly in to me and my dad would do like a couple novice rounds there, but like like literally one round a year. And so I think it was 2016. I flew out. It was like my last year of college, and hadn't ridden in a year, and went out to like the local I think it's the MRA is the club out there at High Plains Raceway, and did a round out there and just totaled it, just like mid pack novice, just you know, yard sailed the R6. And so I was like, okay, this is the turning point of like, we either commit to like doing this sport properly, or at least somewhat properly, or I should just like, you know, do other things. So I told my dad, I was like, okay, here's the deal. Let's take the rig, let's take the race bikes back to Oregon. Let's race with Omra there in Oregon at PIR. EDR is right there. They can work on the bikes. We can store our trailer there. I was living in Portland at the time, so I was graduating and getting a job there. And so I was like, I can just, you know, you can fly in now. You'll be the one to fly in and we can race with them. So that's what we did. We rebuilt the bike. And then 2017 onward, I've raced. That was like my first full season. My first full novice season with Omra was 2017. So I ended up winning like the 600 novice championship or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm starting to figure this whole racing thing out. And then from there, basically just raced like 2018 to like 2022, did like 4 or 5 seasons of like expert 600 across kind of just different clubs, like Omra for a season or two. And then my good buddy and his dad raced at AFM down in California, like, you know, Button Willow and Thunder Hill, and a lot of fast guys down there, packed grids and like good challenging tracks. I know they used to go to like Sonoma as well, and they go to Laguna Seca like once every other year kind of thing, but switched to that like during COVID. So that was kind of a crazy time. Like 2020 was like such a weird,
Yes.
obviously for many reasons, but we were like flying to San Francisco where his dad lived from Seattle. So I moved to Seattle at this point, and then my parents moved to Texas like soon after I started racing. Actually, they moved in like 2016. So right as we were shipping the bikes out to Oregon to keep them there, I moved to Seattle. My parents moved to Texas. Now I'm flying to California to do club rounds. Like it was a kind of a weird just mix of like how it all came together. But anyway, was doing rounds with the California dudes and was learning a lot. And definitely they were kicking my butt. Like there's so many good guys, and so many top like AMA and Moto America guys come out of that region. Obviously, like the Boviers and ton of fast 600 guys and 1,000 riders, and so I learned a lot there. But that was like, it was a weird kind of switch from, you know, like let's do this racing thing to like now I'm all in it. Like now I'm working full time, making my own money. Like I can actually like pay for stuff, and EDR like helped me so much along the way, man. Like they're so good at like getting bikes to tracks for guys all along like the West Coast and like all even across the country. Like so had a lot of help, you know, had friends, dads, or these people or those people that would always like kind of like if I was flying in to a round, like they would have my bike there, like EDR had brought it there, and then like, you know, we could just get through the weekend and ride and then fly out and go home or whatever. But yeah, super weird kind of way it all came together, man. But that's not even getting to the hooligan stuff. But yeah,
I love it, man.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Everybody's got, listen, AJ, everybody's got their own unique, beautiful story of how they got into racing, right?
Definitely.
And it's and I love to sit down and honored to be able to get and dig in your brain and bring it out of you, you know, because then you go down a memory lane too. You're like, oh shit, I forgot about this, but I
Yeah,
remember this
it's
one
true.
time and blah blah blah, you know. Dude, it's a beautiful story, man. It really is, because like I said, everybody's is different. It takes uh twisted turns every once in a while. You never know which way it's going to take. I explain it to people. It's like a tree. It starts off with one single branch, right? And then all of a
Hmm.
sudden there's like many paths you could take to end up, whether it's Moto America, wherever, you know, you envision ending up at, which a lot of people don't envision. They just get into racing and do track days and club racing, and they don't really think about Moto America, right? Getting in, making that transition. But I definitely want to get into that here in a minute. Um, EDR, man, they're absolutely amazing human beings, right? And so, John, that's how I ended up meeting you at Ohio too. And I think Cole had mentioned you too. And I remember walking through and I was like, dude, I swear that looks like John. I swear that is John right there, right? So I walk up, I'm like, what's up, John? He's like, Simcoe, blah, 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 blah. He's like, dude, you got to come meet my rider, AJ. I was like, on my way, right? And but during that particular weekend, did he drive your bike out there to Mid Ohio and you fly out, or?
No, yeah, how did it work? So no, we had the bike from Texas. Yeah, me and my dad drove up from Texas, but it was weird because I blew a head gasket at Daytona in the shops in Portland. So we actually had Jordan Eubanks was kind enough to get the bike to California. I know he's the man,
Yeah.
and so he got the bike to California. We raced up at the Ridge in June. So we went from March to June without riding, like, or racing. And I rode a little bit, like dirt bikes and whatnot. But 3 months is a long time to like do a race round and then you don't race again for 3 months is always weird. But Ridge is a bit of a home track, so I love it there. But anyway, bike got back. EDR fixed it. June round, we were up at the Ridge. We brought it down for the July round at Laguna, and then my buddy Dylan Wall, who's in Texas with me, down in San Antonio, a little south of me, he was kind enough to bring the bike back from Laguna. I drove myself, so the whole other side story of logistics with my Sprinter blowing an engine. So my plan was just to do it all myself. I have a Sprinter, I lugged that around to Daytona and back, and then basically the motor blew, and that's a whole debacle I gotta still figure out, sort of. But so I was having to like bum rides with the bike. So anyway, we got the bike back to Texas, and then used our rig to get it to Ohio. Long story short, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I actually got I got a 2008 Ducati 848 EDR
Oh, nice.
race
We do
bike.
a lot of Ducatis.
Yeah, they're absolutely. It needs a motor, so I need to
Well,
hit John
they're the
up.
ones. Not to plug EDR nonstop, but no, I mean
No,
they do great
that
work.
absolutely they are, but you know, I don't have the $5,000. You know what I'm saying? I did, but I bought an RC51 instead, right?
I can't blame you for that.
So what do I do, right? I'm
It's a
like,
classic, you
the
can't go wrong with that.
you can't. You can't. I want to get to a couple of these comments real quick. We got Keith Kelly. What is up, my man? Do you know Keith?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Keith. He's absolutely a proper mega fast too. He club
Oh, right
races.
on.
Got some championships. He's a legend too. So is Matt Hall. Have you met Matt? He said, "Man, those were the good old
Not.
days." He said, "What's up, losers? What's up, man?" Dude, Matt's absolutely awesome. He has an RC51, so we
Oh,
chatted,
right on.
and he's a big Ducati guy. I actually had him on my pod.
Oh, right on.
He's a lot of fun. I met him at Atlanta. One thing that I love to do is even if we hadn't met in person yet, and we did a podcast together, to meet in person, right? It's like a full
Yeah.
circle deal. It's freaking amazing. I love it. And then Jason Doss, what is up, my dudes? What's going on, bud?
What's up, Jason?
And we got my man Brennan. He said, tuning in live from Target. Bro,
Oh, nice.
thank you so much. That's awesome. People are probably looking at you like, what are you doing? Matt Hall says, man, I forgot to tell you at GNF, but great job getting second in relay. He's talking to you, AJ, right?
I don't know if I was there for that. He might be confusing me.
Oh, but thank you, Matt. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
He said, Brennan did say I'm getting side-eyed in the store listening to this full audio. Well, that's awesome.
Full
dude.
blast on the speakers.
Full blast. We got the legend. So Pete Marsh, he's RD racing out there.
Oh, right on.
UK. I'm a big supporter of his son, Jake. He's absolutely a future legend of our sport. It's actually a shirt right there.
Oh, very cool.
Dude, I'm a big supporter of them. They're a big supporter, and like in my early days, and they run my logo out there on their stuff, and so nothing but love to all of them
That's
for
awesome.
sure. But he says, "Evening, Chris. Sorry not caught you live for a while. Looking good, my man. Need to catch up, Pete. Absolutely, homie. Hit me up on WhatsApp. We'll definitely make that happen. Miss you too, bro, for sure." And then Jeremy Coffey, another legend. He said, "What's up, guys? Miss you, AJ. What? You don't miss me, Jeremy? Man, I'm hurt right now. That's messed up, man." But you're
Nah,
right. It's all about
Jeremy's the
AJ.
man, dude.
It
Not at
is.
all, not at all, dude. This is your show.
But yeah,
No,
it is. But you're
Jeremy's
the
a great
legend,
dude.
bro. He is. He is. Jeremy's
Have you had Jeremy
absolutely.
on?
Yeah, I've had Jeremy on.
Okay, right
Yeah,
on.
I met Jeremy at VIR during an Azra club race
Yep.
weekend.
Okay.
My man Dakari from K Tech was actually working with him, and I seen Dakari out there, and Dakari's like, "Dude, you got to come meet Jeremy. Perfect for your podcast." I was like, "Let's go!" And yeah, boom,
Awesome.
there it is. And then of
Nice.
course, the legend himself, Cole King. Those sprinters will
Oh,
get
there's the
you.
man right there.
They will get you too, right? Yeah, Cole's freaking awesome.
Super cool dude.
He's an absolute legend, as you are too. But AJ, tell us the transition coming from what made you decide Super Hooligan class in Moto America.
Good question, man. I had never really put much thought to it. Like I was just so in like the super sport 600 kind of mindset. Like never planned on doing like that for a full season or anything. You know, that's a whole other lane. It's intense too. Like, but yeah, the super hooligan thing just kind of popped up. Like Debrino and a lot of the PNW guys were starting to get into it, and Debrino had obviously been in it for a long time, so I'd always like kind of been aware of it. And then I guess just like them all talking to me and being like, you know, you would love these bikes. Like you would love the KTM 890. I think we think you'd do well. Like you should check it out. And I was actually pit crewing for my buddies Alex Clark and Alex Taylor in Daytona last year, at the beginning of 2023. And I went there just to like totally help out. And they're like, "Hey, you want to fly in? Like you're a lot closer than us. We're in Oregon, you're in Texas, so already just a couple hour flight away." And like I'd never been to Daytona, so I was like, "Sure, man, I'll totally go help out." So it was cool. Like showed up, and then I don't know what happened. It was like one of those. It was like watching that movie in 2008 again. But something clicked, and like I literally called the dealer in Oregon that I usually buy from, Power Motorsports, who are like amazing. Those guys are the best, and always hook it up and have the best prices and the best service. And like basically just called one of their sales managers that I work with and was like, "Hey, do you guys have a 890 Duke R like sitting there?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, I'll take it." So I basically just bought it right then and there. Literally bought it while I was in Daytona pit crewing for my friends, and then just planned to do the rest of the 2023 season. And it was just kind of a whirlwind. Like I texted my now fiance and I was like, "I think I just bought a new bike." And yeah, plans changed. Went from like planning to do an AFM season with the 600s and maybe do a wild card thing at Laguna or the Ridge or something, and then completely changed mindset to like, okay, let's build a bike from the ground up. Let's learn how to ride it and let's go race. So felt like kind of a hooligan thing to do. So kind of just pulled the trigger.
I love it, man. I love it. Absolutely. And I remember when they announced the hooligan class, I was like, dude, what a brilliant idea. Roland
It
Sands. Like
is.
it's absolutely brilliant idea. It's it to me, it started out as a good entry level, cheap way of getting into racing,
Yeah.
you know. Now it's kind of bit gone astray a little bit, right?
It's different now. We could talk about that too, but yeah.
Yeah, we will definitely. But AJ, how did you find the transition? Because we all know club racing, right? I've done it. It's laid back. You show up. Everybody loves everybody. Well, it's like that in our beautiful circus at Moto America too, but it's so laid back, right? Versus the Moto America weekend where it's like military. It's these steps you have to do and have to abide by, right? Schedule wise, because they're not going to wait for you. You got to be on time.
You got to have your shit together.
So how did you find that transition going from club racing to Moto America?
I liked it, man. I like how regimented it is, and like just the level of professionalism and like the way it's run is just really nice. Like club racing's awesome. It's fun. You make a lot of friends, but there's also a lot of like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes there's egos and hotheads and whatnot. And like, you know, at the end of the day, like we're here to race and have fun at any level, right? Too. But I just like how Moto America conducts itself, and I think like too, like I try to have the mindset of like every time I'm out there riding with like the level of riders I get to go with is like you have a lot you can learn, and so enjoy it and do your best and learn as much as you can. So I had a lot of support too, like in the actual transition to doing the nationals. Like my crew chief John from EDR, like he's done it all, man. Like he's won titles with AMA, and he's coached and managed some of the best riders like that. I'm not on that level for sure, but props to those guys. And John just knows everything, man. So he really helped out. And just my other Pacific Northwest and West Coast buddies that had either done hooligans or super sport or twins, or Debrino's done it all. Jeremy's done quite a bit. Like those guys have had a lot more experience. So, a lot of reference points is for like helping figure out some of the tips and tricks, So we didn't really go into it too like blind and on our own. We had a lot of friends. So that's kind of what's cool about hooligans too, is like there's like a weird little sub community of just like the hooligan
Yeah.
races out there that like, I made a lot of good friends from it. So yeah, it was fun, man. It was a freaking whirlwind. Like literally got the bike built in May last year, and went out to the Ridge and did the club weekend the week before with Wormra and those guys. And like I'd raced with them a couple times, and like I'd been to the Ridge 6 or 7 times probably. So that was me learning the bike, was like going from I'd only ever raced an R6, man, like the old gen R6 at first, and then I got a 2020, so I raced that for 3 years or whatever. But yeah, the Duke is so different, like so much torque, and no fairings, and just like the whole way the front end feels so much lighter. So it was a lot different, but I kind of meshed with it right away. Like that's what was cool about it. It was like it kind of, I think John agrees, like it kind of suits my riding style. So it was cool. But yeah, man, just kind of jumped into it, showed up at the national at the Ridge and went for it, man, and it was fun. It's a good
I
time.
love it, right? And
Yeah.
jumping from a 600 to a super hooligan bike, your riding style's got to change to adapt to it, right? The way you
Yeah.
quarter entry, braking, turning, the whole 9 changes. But yeah, I've of course at Mid Ohio, I watched all the sessions with all my friends. I don't get to do it all the time, but I do make a point during the day to go out and watch every session that all my friends are
Oh wow.
riding, which is all of them, right? And I go out there just to watch, just to see what they're doing, what they're not doing, what the fastest guys are doing, what they're doing different than what you're doing, man. I soak it all in. I'm like a little sponge out there, right? But yeah, it's I like Moto America. I've never raced Moto America. I'm not fast. I do track days, and I have the most fun, honestly, AJ, riding a little Grom or a Z125 on a kart track than I do on a big bike on a track day.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Dude, just because little bikes are just so fun, right? You just bang into each other and you laugh when you crash. I still break shit, but that's beside the point, right?
Yeah.
It's the fun factor, you know what I mean? And yeah, but
Definitely do. Like even going back to the 600s at the club, like I was always coming off the bike, like I don't know, probably just too negative, like always just frustrated with something, and like, man, I feel like I could have done this better, or my pace was just not there, or like I made a mistake. And then all my friends on the little bikes are like literally coming off the track, like laughing and howling, and had the greatest time of their lives. I'm like, man, why they have so much fun on the little ninjas and all that? Like maybe there's something to that. So I feel like the 600 1000 guys are a lot more like pissed off and just like
right.
grumpy about stuff. The smaller bikes just lead to fun times, I think. Like
that's what it's about, right? It is the
yeah.
fun. Matt Hall says now it's the cheapest way to race in the nationals. It is. I agree with that. And then so my mate Pete Marsh, he races out there in BSB. He says, is there a big jump in cost out there going from club racing to Moto America?
I would say yeah. I mean, like you can do it a couple ways. You can really like, budget, and it's not that much more. Like like the actual registration stuff from Moto America is actually cheaper than clubs. I think clubs, a lot of clubs need the support financially to keep going, and so they do charge a little more. But I think just from a tires and maybe fuel and overall logistics perspective, it's definitely a lot more. But hooligans is still easily the cheapest way to do a full season or even one round. Like you can there's guys out there that are quick that are only buying a set of tires a weekend, or maybe 2 rear tires, 1 front tire a weekend, and really budgeting, and the fuel is cheap, and overall it's not too expensive. So there is a jump though, for sure.
So like I guess like let's just say an example, right? Like club racing this season, let's say it's like 25 grand or 20 grand, and then whatever season in Moto America would be like 50 grand, so it'd be 25,000 more, just because the tracks are spread so far out and all that good stuff. Maybe
Hooligans is probably not that much because we only do 5 rounds, and like I would love to do. I think like 6, maybe 7 would be the perfect amount, especially for someone like me who's like basically full privateer. Like I think that's a good balance. Like five is easy. We could do that. I think 6 would be perfect. But man, 20,000 for a club season, that's probably for the top guys. I would say like for the maybe just like a mid-pack 600 dude, like buying a set of tires a weekend, or maybe again 2 rears a weekend. Like probably a little less, but yeah, if you're getting up to, if you want to be competitive and you're the front and you're doing a set of tires a session and the full rig logistically getting it everywhere across the country, like yeah, 50 grand is probably not a bad bet.
yeah,
And that's not even counting potential repair costs and all the other
No.
stuff that goes. I seem to crash a little too often in the hooligan rounds, so but and that's another thing, dude. Like it's probably not a good thing, but I went 3 seasons of 600s without crashing. Like I was probably not pushing hard enough. Like I've never been a big crasher, and then I feel like I do the best riding on the hooligan bikes, but also make some of the dumbest mistakes too. So had a couple of mishaps there, but yeah, I mean that's racing,
Hey, you're pushing it, you're finding the limit and
Yeah.
finding out, you're feeling what your bike's capable of doing, and learning yourself and finding
Yeah.
out what you're capable of doing too as well, right? Especially iron sharpens iron. So you're out there on a track and a faster guy comes by you, you can actually get a little toe from him and stay with him at least just for a couple corners. Then you can pay attention what they're doing that you're not doing and learn from that, right? And then
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's every hooligan session, dude. Like my first session last year at the Ridge, I think it was like came out of the pits behind Bobby Fong and Jake Lewis, and like they were just gone. Like, and I was like, oh shit, okay. It's like there's just a certain level of like, if I'm riding the bike, I'm pushing hard. Like that's what they have, and obviously they're massively talented and have so much experience. But that took a little bit to learn. Like you're not out there to like cruise, and you should never be not pushing hard. Like don't overdo it, but you got to be on it. Like so that was cool, and like yeah, having those guys out on track with me is good learning experience for sure. You can see what they're doing and try to pick it up. Obviously the bikes are a lot different. Hooligans is that weird class where like the Harley and the Indian are so different to the Duke that it's like they're just going to have sometimes different lines, and their power band's a lot different, and they're in totally different gearing and everything, and a lot more horsepower. So we're trying to like keep our corner speed up, and we're a little more nimble, but down like out of a corner or down the straight, like those things are hard to keep up with too. So that adds a different element as well.
It does, and I love the hooligan class. Like I said, it's good. I heard maybe they might change the rules on it coming up in the future.
Yeah, I don't know. It's well, like that's cool about it. Like I like the hooligans class because there's like I want to have the top level of riders be in there. Like I think having that, but also have the barrier of entry be accessible to people that are coming from club or are pretty fast and want to try a national and have built a bike and want to get out there. Like I think you want to have both. So I think that's good. But and then the rule set's just so tricky just because the type of bikes we're on are so different. Like it's not all just 600s or it's not all 1000s, and everything's so new, and every year there's new stuff coming out that it's hard to find the balance. Like the KTMs were originally required to put like extra weight on the motor just to make the weight limit fair, and then I think they found at like Daytona last year it was just the gap was now too big for the KTM to keep up with. Like I think Debrino helped kind of lead that conversation of like, hey man, like I won this race last year and now I'm like getting dropped down the straight. So it's like, again, it's like every round there's going to be something new, something different. Now there's the Ducatis coming out. Now there's, Cole was on the Triumph this year. I think there was a Yamaha out there, like Dom Doyle was out there on the Yamaha. So it's like, I love that. Like I love how much, how many manufacturers are out there, but it just makes getting the rule set to be like completely fair makes it pretty difficult.
No, yeah,
but again, like
sure.
we're hooligans, we signed up for it. Like if things are not 100% fair across the board, like I don't know, just grit your teeth and get after it, right? So
we're a hooligan. That's what we do, right?
I think you got to find a blend of both. Like try to make the rule set as good as you can, as fair as you can, but at the end of the day, like I just like the grittiness of hooligans. Like I like kind of like that rough and tumble kind of vibe. So yeah, it's a good time.
I think it's besides Junior Cup, the hooligans is again one of my favorite class. I love to watch it because I love the idea of Street Fighter motorcycles racing. Are you kidding me, people? That's like
Yeah.
fucking, dude, something I always wanted, dude, and dreamed about because they're so cool bikes. It's not for a lot of us as we get older. We don't want to be slunched up like this all the time. It hurts my back after a while, right? I'd much rather be on a bike that is. Plus, I feel like you feel more natural. So meaning that when every time I get on a Street Fighter, man, I just feel a lot more natural than I do. Well, I feel like that way on my RC51, and now the only reason why is because every bike I get, it's just like you, AJ. It's got to have rear sets, and I got to put clip-ons on it because I can't stand a stock bike where I feel like my elbows are pointing towards my belly button. Right, I want my bars to be out wider, and you can't do that on the stock because they have the little notch underneath the triptree. You know, the whole bullshit that goes along with that. So that, and of course your rear sets. Once you set up the bike for your your geometry the way you want it, then you're comfortable, right? But on a hooligan bike, it's like you jump on it, you kind of sit in it, not on top of it, but the gas tank still sits pretty high. You still
My
get a
gas
good
tank on the 890, dude, it's like up here, like no touch possible. And like every helmet I have that it's chipped on the chin because I'm going down the straight, like, and I'm trying to get as flat as possible. Like I have a pretty, I'm pretty flat tuck on a sport bike, but man, the Duke is so funny. Yeah, it's just like that. Every bike is so different, like, and everyone's riding position and style is so different. Like it's pretty wild. Like when you're in the middle of the pack, you're like thinking this is some crazy stuff. Like the first time I took the bike out, like first time ever, I literally was laughing in my helmet because I was like, what did I do? I was like, was this a dumb choice or was this a good choice? Like I couldn't tell yet. But then I took a couple sessions. It was like a track day at PIR, I think like 2 weeks before the Ridge race weekend. And by the end of the day, I was like, okay, I think I like this bike a lot. And then yeah, but like the bars are way out and like you're way high up and it's so different from a 600, man. But
It
yeah,
is.
it's a fun time.
It's I like the leverage you get. I just feel like you got, because the bars are so wide. It's like it's less input on the bars to get it to where you want.
Yeah.
Where we're on a 600 or 1000 or 750, you're really fighting it, right? I would love to see one question I do have for you, AJ, is what about the class would you like to see change?
Yeah, good question. I mean, again, just as best as we can, just a balance that gets something. It felt like this year the Indian and the Harley was just a step above everything else. And like, yeah, they have the biggest budgets and maybe the fastest dudes riding those bikes, but I think like to have the KTM competitive or other manufacturers at least as close as possible. I think that's the goal. To have as many manufacturers as competitive as you can get, I think that would be awesome. Like to have 6 or 7 manufacturers all fighting for that top 5, podium kind of level would be sweet. So overall, I think Roland and them are doing a great job. Like I think it's marketable. I think it's fun for people to watch. Like it's enjoyable. I think they still are, like I said, making the bar to entry like low enough so that people can come and try it out. And I think you also want to have that balance of like there needs to be a time cutoff. I think like 2023 there was no time cutoff and like we had a big field at a couple of like I think like Laguna last year they had to split it into 2 groups because it was so there's like 48 guys signed up. And I think some of the speed differentials for someone that is maybe newer to road racing and definitely hasn't been to that track, like it's a mixed bag kind of for like speed going through certain parts of the track. So that was kind of sketchy at times too. And again, just anytime you get a track that crowded, it makes for interesting things. But yeah, like I think overall it's going in a super, super good direction. I just think obviously Indy and Harley are like the front runners right now. And I think as if we can get other manufacturers in there, like KTM, like Triumph, like Ducati, like Yamaha, whoever, like I think that would be really good. And I think it would bring more riders over. I think other manufacturers would have an interest in either building a team or supporting privateers or doing whatever. So yeah, long-winded answer, but I love the vibe of Roland's brand, and I love like what that brings to hooligans and the way they market it. And I think like that's going to keep growing, and I think that's awesome. But keeping the rule set for the bikes as fair as possible is like should be number one priority.
Oh, for sure, and the cost too, right?
Yeah,
You,
definitely.
you want to keep the costs down just because you want to make it affordable for your average. What I tell people, your average working citizen that has an income of wherever you're at in the world, let's just say 70 grand, right? Your average income, to where I can go out and go get a bike, dump 5-6 grand into it, sign up for the Moto America fees, and in the gas and go
Yeah,
racing, right, and have fun. Instead of having a class that super expensive I mean, in the
Yeah.
bike, you got to have this, you got to have that. But you're right. I think there's so many bikes, just like with the 600s. You know, they started letting the Ducati and the 750, so they had to figure out a way to
Yeah.
balance everything, right? And I think it's a little bit more tricky in the hooligans class
Way
because
more.
there's a lot more different motorcycles
Yeah.
that they're letting in.
Yep.
And not only that, the power difference is a lot between the two and the weight. I mean, there's a lot. I'd hate to be the guy making the decisions on that shit.
Yeah, I
You
don't
know
envy
what I'm
that job,
saying?
man. Like, we can all
No.
sit here and complain on one side of it or the other, but at the end of the day, like, it's hard to figure it out. So I have, I have patience for sure. Like, and at the end of the day, like, I enjoy it no matter what. So, yeah, and it's fun to be a part of something that's growing and still like kind of developing. And I think it went from like, like, oh, it's the hooligans, like crazy guys out there, to like, I feel like now it's a very legitimate class. Like, it is stacked. To get points at the last couple of rounds is like, you have to be moving. Like, to get a top 10, you have to beat some like really fast people. So I think that's good. Like, I think to have a class full of the top level guys is good, but still have the barrier of entry be accessible to, the dude that wants to try it. And if they can make a reasonable time cutoff, then yeah, they can grid up and go. Like, and you get to race with the top, the top guys. I think that's a perfect kind of balance to have. So yeah,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's going in a good direction.
I do too, man. Absolutely, I do too. So let's sum up your 2024 season, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
over with now, right? 2025 is coming up, but we'll get
yeah.
to that here in a second. Did you going into the season, AJ? Did you have any like certain expectations, or was you just like, you know what, I'm gonna show up and I'm just gonna have the most fun I can and see where the cards lay?
I did. I definitely did, man. Like, I didn't get ahead of myself, but last year went so well, even only doing like partial season. I mean, I showed up and at the Ridge, I qualified like 8th, finished 7th, and then race 2, I got like 5th. So it's like my first pro weekend, and it's like I had a top 5, which just felt surreal. I was like, oh, like that seems wild to me. Like, just a couple months ago, I was like, crashing my R6 or whatever. But yeah, no, it was cool. So last year went so well, and had a bit of an off at Laguna, and um, tore my AC, so separated my AC on the shoulder and got surgery right away. I got really lucky and had an amazing surgeon. And I remember there were 7 weeks to CODA. And normally an AC repair is like, it's not like a collarbone break, man. It's like, it's months and months. So we really pushed really hard to come back for that. Cause like, it'd always been my dream to race at Laguna and to race at CODA. So Laguna, I kind of messed up in race 1 there. I think I red flagged that. But that was my bad. Little yeah, false neutral coming into turn 2 over the hill, and it was just, yeah, that's a whole other story. But anyway, went through like the rehab, and kind of just, I don't know how I did it. Like, got the shoulder in a place to where I could race in like 6 weeks, which was, even my physical therapist was like, man, we tallied the edge of like overdoing it and like just finding that perfect balance. Like, I worked so hard. And I'd done therapy like many times. Like, I had football injuries and wrestling injuries and I had a big leg break, a torn Achilles, torn MCL, broken fingers, all that. So like, I've done it all. I know how like physical therapy works and like how much dedication you need to put towards it. So got through the 7 weeks, raced at CODA last year, survived, got like a 6th and a 4th. So it's like, okay, very, very, very good ups and like a bit of a down part of 2023. So point being, coming into 2024, like, I did have a lot of expectations, and I knew there would be a bigger field of top level guys coming over, like Cody Wyman, Hayden Schultz. Like, these guys were kind of coming over, and Hawk was on Roland's bike, and like, he's a fast dude. So like, a lot of big names, and then, but my goal was to be definitely like in a top 10, top 8 position. So we kind of didn't quite hit that. I'd say like my pace was just kind of just off the back of that. But then there's so many fast guys again. So I still feel good about how it went. Like, I made a lot of mistakes. And like, first time at Daytona was the first round this year, and never really ridden there. And 20 minutes, man, 20 minutes to learn a track like that, because that's how long our sessions are. And then to go straight into qualifying is not a lot of time. And like, for me, that's like that. I think that's a bit of the gap to like the very, very top level guys, is like someone like Jorge Martin or like whatever can show up at a track and just absolutely send it, be on it, and like be at that top pace like immediately. Whereas like I needed more than 20 minutes, or I needed more than like a track day session to learn a track like that. Like the first time you do the curving, you're just like, what in the hell is going on here, man? And my crew chief John was like, do not let off. Like, you never let off. And like, I won't lie, like my first time going around, I was like, what? Like, I was like, just the first lap, I was like, I have to, like, I feel like it was like a roller coaster that was like never ending. Like you're in like a loop de loop. But anyway, yeah, like trying to race at a track like that with such little track time to prep is tough. So Daytona definitely didn't go my way. There was like a mishap with the tire warmer too, and I had a spill. Basically missed all of Q1. So I did 20 minutes the Friday morning free practice. Q1 crashed on the out lap due to the failing tire warmer. That was, I guess, yeah, our bad too on not noticing, or whoever pulled the warmer. So missed that. So then had the Saturday morning Q2 and did what I could, man. But basically gritted up and went. And it was just a shit show. Like there was the big red flag, and Debrino had that big crash, and I think there was even like another collision up there on the wall in the restart, and got through the race. I think I got a couple points, but like came off of that weekend, it was like such an eye opener. I was like, okay, this is not like last year to where I could show up at a track I've never been to, like Coda, and get like fourth, you know. So it's like, okay, this is the real deal now. And definitely was an eye opener. I maybe didn't ride my best, sure, but like, you know, I knew the season was going to be different. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if you want me to go through each round. Each round has like its own little story. But overall, like my pace just wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. It felt really good at times, and I felt like I was close. But again, I felt like we're a little bit of a disadvantage with the bike too. But I don't want to blame the bike. I think the bike is capable of amazing things. Like if Brad Bender came and rode my KTM, I think he would be, you know, killing it, right? So it's like it's not the bike overall, it's the rider. So it was a big learning experience, man. 2024 was something for sure. But
I love it. That's one thing, dude, real quick, that I would love to see change with the Super Hooligans is more seat time.
yeah, it's big,
got,
man.
you
Like
know?
I think even just making it 30 minutes is like would be really nice. Especially like I don't know, like I'm not gonna tell Moto America how to run their rounds, but if they have like an hour of 2-up rides at lunchtime, it's like, hey man, why can't we get like 10 more minutes of a hooligan session to that makes a big difference. But you know, yeah, it's tough. It's tough for sure. And we normally don't have like the best time slots. Sometimes like we have the at one point of the season, I remember we kept laughing because it was like the 8:30 a.m. time slot and the 4:45 p.m. So it was like
The
very
very
first,
beginning and the
very
last.
last, never when the track's ideal. So that's fine. Like whatever, everyone's got to ride the same track, right? So again, it's just more challenges and like more learning with that. But when you get to a track like Mid Ohio, where it was like, man, I've never had the bike moving that much underneath, like both the front and the back, like mid corner, corner entry, corner exit. Like I came in and told my crew chief, I was like, I feel like I'm on ice everywhere. Like I don't know how anyone's gonna go fast on this. But the track came in, it got grippy. Once Super Sport and Super Bike goes out, it usually gets better. But yeah, man, hooligan has its unseen challenges that people don't realize just because of those little things.
Oh, it does. Absolutely it does. So, I mean, I rate your season, just me being your friend, watching the season, dude. You did a proper mega job, in
Oh,
my
I appreciate
opinion.
it, man. Thank you.
A lot of people don't, when they just show up and they see, I'm gonna use you, AJ, walking around in the leather suits with all these logos. They assume you make all this money, but what they don't realize too is all the hard work you put in to get you there, and all the sacrifices you make along the way to be at the track and to be at those events and to ride as hard as you do and as fast as you do, right? And it's a
Yeah.
lot of mental. Motorcycles racing to me is one of the most mental sports there is.
Absolutely, man. Like I've
Yeah,
done, like I said, a lot of years of football, a lot of years of wrestling, and those are extremely taxing mentally and physically. But I think with riding, there's another level of technicality and focus to it that it's mental is huge. Like if your body's prepped physically and you're like in great shape and you're ready to go, like that's perfect. That's where you want to be. But at the end of the day, like if you're mentally not there or not in the right headspace, then you're not gonna perform well. So it's so key. People don't realize it. But yeah,
it is.
privateer life's tough, man. There's a lot that goes into it.
It is, right? But
Just
it's
show up
it's
to these
it's
rounds and oof.
it's the beautiful journey, right?
Yeah,
It's not the destination. That's what I tell everybody. It's not the destination. It's the journey getting there, right?
yeah.
Is the most important. So what's in 2025, AJ? What's the plans?
That's the question, man, and I think that's the question for a lot of people. I don't have anything set yet, so we've been going a couple directions on what my options are and what me and my crew chief John and my team thinks is best. And I don't know, I'm not gonna state one way or another what we're leaning towards right now, just because it's still early days. And yeah, it's only 4 months till Daytona, so we better start figuring it out. But I think going back to the rule set, dude, like Hooligans hasn't fully set the rules for all manufacturers, so I think we're waiting to see like what all. I think they had released an initial rule set like shortly after COTA or shortly after New Jersey, but I don't think it's totally finalized. And I think again, that's a tough job, man, to like figure out how to make it as balanced and fair as possible. So I think we'll be hearing things this month in November, and then we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, the plan at the end of the day, again, is to do full season for sure. Be at every round. 5 rounds this year, so it'll be Daytona, Road Atlanta, Ridge, Laguna, and Mid Ohio. So no COTA next year, which I am bummed about, but I don't know. Yeah, I get married the week after that as well, so maybe it's. I know my fiance is like pretty stoked. She's like, okay, maybe you won't be riding the week before our wedding now, so I'm sure ease her conscience a little bit. But yeah,
right. Well, congratulations. I know there's a lot of pressure that goes on behind the whole tying the knot and all that good stuff that goes along with it, right? I've been down that avenue myself, right? I've been married for 18 years, I think about.
Oh wow, congrats, man.
Yeah,
that's
appreciate
awesome.
It's all a compromise.
Absolutely, especially with racing. Like it is such a toll on the families and loved ones of the riders. Like I feel like I have the best job. Like we go through all this pain and sacrifice and time and all, and then I get to go out and ride and have fun. And they like, it is less stressful to ride probably than to watch. So I feel for the people watching. It's probably tough. It's fun to be the one to go out and execute and do it and all that, but to watch and just, yeah, it's probably more stressful for sure. So I appreciate everything they do,
Oh, me too. It's so imperative. Like I tell my friends that they're just fan of the sport, but they don't understand the sport. It's different when you understand the sport and you're part of it. The ins and the do's and the don'ts and what goes into it. It's yeah, you're out there having fun. Your family's nervous the whole time, biting their fingers. Yeah. So just at the end of the day, they just want you to be safe, right? That's all that matters. But yeah, listen, dude, 2025, I'll definitely see you. Like my plans are, I'm definitely going to do Daytona. But before Daytona, I think they moved COTA, the MotoGP race, the first weekend of March, I think.
Or is it first weekend of April? I can't remember.
It's one of them. Yeah, it's one of them. And then
it's early. I think it's earlier this year, no matter what.
Yeah, it is. And then I want to do Daytona. I want to do, of course, I'm doing Road Atlanta, Mid Ohio, VIR, in Jersey for sure. Nice. Those are my East Coast tracks, right?
Right on.
But yeah, COTA, I've been there many times, never ridden the track. It's absolutely a beautiful track, and seeing turn 1, walking up turn 1 reminded me of the Laguna Seca, walking up to the corkscrew, but not as long, right? But it's steep freaking hike.
It's steep, man. We do the Tuesday night bike nights, like here in town. They do the bicycle, and it's fun. Like you get everything from like little kids and grandmas to like professional level like cyclists. So turn 1's no joke, dude. Like if you don't have a proper road bike and you're not clipped in, like good luck getting up it. I sometimes see guys like go up it on like a mountain bike just with like tennis shoes, and like props to that lady or man, but it's tough, dude. So yeah, it's a mountain. Turn 1's a mountain.
Absolutely it is. Well, listen, dude, AJ, we're almost an hour into this, bro. This has been absolutely a lot of fun, amazing. Definitely want to have you back on. There's still so much more to talk about, especially when you figure out what you're going to do in 2025. But I want to transition into is what my favorite part of the podcast, where we get to know AJ on a personal level, away from the legend status as you are, right? So I just want to start off by this. I heard your dog barking, so obviously you're a pet guy, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. I love dogs, man. Dogs are the best. So I got 2 doodles, a golden doodle and a labradoodle. They're not in here just because they're annoying. Well, I mean, they're the best, but normally Tucker, the labradoodle, he's like under my feet all day. Like I'm at my workstation, so this is where I'm working all day. I work from home. But yeah, he's like my little sidekick, man. He's the best. So we do a lot with our dogs. Like if anyone follows me on Instagram, I post a lot of dogs, and my story is just always my dog's face because he's always just staring at me with a happy face. But dogs are the best, man. I've had dogs my whole life. So got Tucker, the chocolate labradoodle, and then Annabelle's a golden doodle. So she's a little crazy thing, but yeah, we love him, man.
I love it. I'm a dog person too. I got 1 and 2 cats. They're
right on.
Yeah, that's why I looked over because Charlie's usually in here with me, but she's
Yeah,
not. Her old lazy ass is in there sleeping in the bedroom on her bed. But yeah, it is.
right on.
I think
Right.
I was a firm believer, AJ. If everybody in the world had a dog, the world would be a happier place because everybody would be happier, right?
Absolutely,
Um,
man.
so yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this then: what's your day job? What do you do for a living?
Yeah, good question. I work in tech. I work for Microsoft actually, so completely
Nice.
different world than racing, man. Like it's cool. I went to school at Oregon State in college for accounting and for information systems. So kind of like I was in the school of business basically, but got my accounting degree and kind of went into like the big accounting firm path from like the early part of my career and did that for a couple years and then started doing like kind of contractor work with Microsoft, like the cloud called Azure. So I work for Azure now. I transitioned to full time with them and like moved to Seattle and was up there for a couple years. And I've really loved it, man. Like it's cool. It's really interesting to see like all the new tech coming out, and, like the AI being introduced and like all that. So I'm not an engineer or anything, but like I do like help with a lot of the Azure products and all the stuff being built out of the cloud and whatnot. So it's like it's been kind of crazy to even in just my little short career to go from like accounting and financial statements to like new cloud technology and stuff. So yeah, I'm fully work from home, man, like fully remote. I moved to Texas a couple years ago and they were cool with that. Like my team's kind of spread all across the world, so that's pretty lucky, but yeah, man, it's good. It's just such a funny thing to think about like that compared to racing cuz like my work teammates and coworkers and whatnot think of me as one way, and then my race friends and all the motorcycle hooligans and whatnot think of me as like probably how you think of me, right? But like the work people don't really know much about the motorcycle stuff. Like they know I ride motorcycles, and if I'm gone, they're like, "Oh, he's probably off riding his motorcycle," you know. But I don't really talk much about anything about racing or whatnot. A couple people know, but yeah, I don't really. The two worlds just are so different, and they never mix. That it's like it's almost like wearing two completely different hats. Like to go back from a hooligan round or a national weekend, and then jump right back into my meetings and my projects and all the works. It's just like such a, it's so weird every time. And I still have like that post race adrenaline. You're just thinking about like this lap or this pass or this corner. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting in some meeting, like doing some, some typing and all. Yes, it's just so fun. But yeah, it's lucky. Like I have a job that allows me to do the racing stuff, do the privateer stuff. So I feel lucky.
Oh, 110%, man. I think that's a big part of the juggling act of having a good job to where you're able to go racing, but also having the job that allows you the time because
Yeah.
I mean, on a weekend you got to plan the travel, so you're gonna be gone at least 4 days that week. Like I'm gonna be
Yep.
gone at least 4 or 5 days. Like you might as well just count me out. But I'll do what I can on the road, right?
I always say that, but then, dude, once
You don't.
once it's load-in
Yeah.
day, I'm like, I ain't touching the laptop. No
No.
way, man. Like, if they need something urgent, they could ping me and it'll pop up on my phone and I could do something like a 5-minute thing. But other than that, nope. Just it goes away because I know it'll be back when I get back home. So yeah, I do take my laptop everywhere though, which kind of has its pros and cons. You never fully disconnect, other than race weekends like that. Like I said, never think about it. But if we go on vacation or have some weekend away or do whatever, like work can always potentially pop up. So there's that. But yeah, overall, it's a good gig.
Yeah, it sounds like a good gig. I'd love to work at home, man. That'd be awesome.
It's got its pros and cons, man. I'm in no place to complain. Like obviously, you think like, how lucky am I that like in 2024, this is the type of work I'm doing. I'm, overall, again, can't complain. But it has its cons. Like I'm a pretty sociable person normally, and I don't ever see my teammates or my coworkers or anything. Like I'm kind of just here, and then I bug my fiance when she gets home. So it's like if I don't talk to people at the gym, I didn't talk to most people, like, or I didn't talk to people face to face that day, right? So definitely has its setbacks. But again, you're not commuting, you're not having to, you can kind of have your own pace of work sometimes. So yeah, it's pretty sweet.
That's awesome, man. How did you and your fiance meet? Me and my wife met on a blind date.
Oh wow, no, I actually met my fiance through racing, like just through the
Nice.
local club at Omra. Yeah, so she was in Oregon at the time, and I just moved to Seattle actually, and then we were friends for a while, and then I don't know, started talking more, and then I think she came up for a concert in Seattle at one point, and like we went with a couple of my friends and whatnot. I had a great time, and then I went down and saw her in Oregon, and then we kind of just started talking more and hanging out more, and then like COVID kicked off. And so like lockdown happened, and then we had only been like officially dating for like maybe 4 months when like March 2020 hit, and I made the decision. Like I figured they were going to shut stuff down, especially in like the Northwest. They were pretty strict with a lot, and so I drove down from Seattle. I like packed a couple bags, drove down to from Seattle to Salem, Oregon, where she was at, and stayed with her for like 3 months straight. Just just worked remote again. Like my team wasn't going in, obviously, to campus or anything. So yeah, stay with her, and that was kind of like, a lot of people would say that was early in the relationship to do that kind of like lock in together, but it worked out perfect. It was like a good test to see like how we were together, and everything was like, it was the 3 funnest months ever. We had a great time. She had a really cool place at the time with dogs, big backyard. They were just puppies back then. So I was just like their best buddy that came to stay for a while. And yeah, dude, we just went from there. And then eventually she moved to Seattle with me, and then we stayed there for a couple years, and now moved to Texas, got engaged here, and then yeah, getting married next year. So big boy stuff, doing the grown up stuff finally.
The adult. They said it would be fun when we grow up, ain't it, AJ? It's like, nah, dude, I want to go back.
I don't know. It's pretty good. It's pretty good overall.
It is, but yeah, when I guess. Listen, I got a son, as everybody knows, and it brings you back to. It makes you a little kid again. I've always been a kid at heart, right? But you're young in your mind because you're at their. You try to be at their level, right? And I look at my responsibility and his. I'm like, bro, like you got it so good. You don't even know. Like I go to work every day. I bust my ass. I got house payment, mortgage, insurance, dude. I got all this bullshit I got to do. You just eat lunch, come home, and do your little homework and roadblocks or whatever you want to do, right? And then, laundry and dude, adulting. It is fun, but not as fun as being a kid. Is all I'm saying.
Maybe not. So, there's obviously like the purity of just having no. I mean, you felt like you had worries at the time, but realistically, you didn't. But I mean, look at you, man. Look at your room. It's packed with your cool stuff. Like that's like your adult version of all your kid toys. Like you got a lot of cool stuff. You can drink beer. You can do a lot of cool. You could drive a car. You could ride a motorcycle. That's pretty cool, man.
But he could ride a bike too, right? But drive a car, dude. I take him driving in the neighborhood. He's only 11. I'm like, dude, jump up here, dude. Let's do it, man. I want to teach him, right? Young. So when he goes, he's no problem.
Yeah, there you go.
110%. Let me ask you this: what is your ultimate dream car? Everybody's got a dream car, right? Mine would be American Muscle Wise would be, oh man, 69 Dodge Charger. I'm in love with a 69 Charger. If it was going to be a Japanese car, man, I'm in love with like a 95 RX-7 twin turbo.
Wow. Yeah, those are pretty solid, dude. I don't know. My dad was a Corvette guy growing up. He had a ZR1. That was pretty sick. Like muscle car wise, maybe an old Mustang. Maybe like a, I don't know, 64, 65, 66 Mustang. Something like that. Overall dream car? Oh, dude, I don't know. Maybe a McLaren. Right? Eric Dorn's got a McLaren at EDR. He never let me. I haven't never driven it, but no. McLaren would be
Eric,
sick.
What are you doing, man?
Well, I don't live in Portland. It's fine. It's fine. He probably still wouldn't let me drive it though. But
that's hilarious.
Probably
I've seen it too.
He's had a couple now. That dude's had a lot of cars. He buys and sells a lot. That's like his motorcycles are his job. Moto is his work. Cars are like his passion, I think. So that's like his little getaway. He didn't make a very far leap in terms of hobbies to job, but yeah, I know he loves cars.
I love it. So let me ask you this, dude. When you're sitting on the starting grid, what's the last thing your mechanic says to you when he comes off the grid?
Good question. I do remember the first thing, or the last thing rather, John, my crew chief, told me before my first pro race, because I was gridded up behind Bobby Fong. He was like, I think he qualified 5th. I was 8th. So I was like directly behind him. And I just remember he like hit me in the chest, and he's like, don't fucking play nice, because these guys aren't going to play nice. And then I go out, and I'm just like so ready to go that I'm just going to break when they break. Like, I don't give a shit. And there's like a pretty tight chicane at the beginning of the ridge, like lap 1. And so I just braked when they braked, and I was not slowing down fast enough, and I was about to like rear end Bobby. And my front tire missed his rear tire by like an inch, and I like shot through. I still made the corner, came back, maybe lost a spot or two, but I was like, okay, that was maybe overdid it. So I took the words to heart. But yeah, the last thing he says is normally something along those lines. And like my family is much more like, be safe, have fun, be smart. But John's more like, he gets a little more fired up. He's been around it a lot, so and he has expectations too, which is good. Yeah. So I get both sides of it.
I love it. He's like full send.
Yeah,
Don't
no,
be a wussy. Yes.
I mean, I won't tell you what some of the stuff he says, but
I'm sure. I
it's
can only
like, I'm
imagine
like, whoa, dude,
coming
like,
from John. Yeah, I can only
yeah,
imagine.
he's a crazy guy. But I'm like,
Oh
I'm gonna
my
keep it on
God.
2 wheels, dude. I'm not gonna like totally send it, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm not keep it down a little notch, but I'm gonna send it anyway. Yeah. That's awesome. Dude. So let me ask you this, dude. What's for dinner tonight?
I don't know, man. I just started this like new diet. I've always eaten pretty healthy. Like I try to do like 80 or 90% of my meals like pretty clean. And my fiance is like an amazing chef, so she always makes like such good stuff. But probably a steak, man, because I'm trying to do like a almost all meat protein type thing with a little bit of veggies and some fruit. So like really try to limit the carbs. And then I don't know, hopefully I'm a little lighter when I show up at Daytona. We'll see if it pays off. But yeah, probably a steak, man. I'm in Texas, you know. So we
That's
eat here.
it, dude. That's it. Absolutely. Do you have any tattoos?
I got one. I got one tattoo on my ribs that I got like just after college. And it's a cross like right below like my pec kind of, and then it goes down like across my ribs, like almost to like my hip bone basically. And it basically says follower of Christ in Greek. Because one thing I thought that was kind of cool was when like the disciples and everything first like were spreading the word and whatnot. Like everyone knows like it was copied to Latin from like Hebrew and whatnot. But before that, it was actually copied to Greek. So like I just thought that was kind of a cool little historical tidbit, I guess. Like the ancient language that everyone spoke at the time was Greek, like because the Greeks were so like I don't know advanced, I guess, society wise and whatnot, that like everyone kind of spoke Greek. Like if you were an intellectual, you spoke Greek, so they translated the Bible into Greek. So I was like, that'd be kind of cool, like something different to get, you know. And I thought I'd have a lot more tattoos by now, so I just have the one. I have a lot of ideas for new stuff too, but like I'm part like Italian, part Irish, part Scottish. So I have like some Roman and like Celtic ideas and stuff. And like I designed this one sort of, so I was like, it'd be cool to like design a couple others. So I have a couple ideas in the works, man. But I never set aside the cash to do it. All the cash goes to more important
Racing.
stuff.
I
Yeah,
know that's right.
racing.
To
Yeah,
racing. That's it.
exactly. So I just got the one.
I love it. I love it. So are you a beer, a wine, or a liquor guy?
Man, it depends. I like all three, dude, depending on the vibe, depending on the party, but definitely beer. I was a college dude one time, just kicking back, drinking the light beers, watching games, doing
Pat's
all
Blue
that.
Ribbon, baby. Let's
Yes,
go.
sir. So I like and the beer down here is good. Everyone drinks a little bit of different stuff than on the West Coast. But yeah, I don't know, I'll do wine. I don't care. But like liquor wise, definitely tequila. Tequila is my go-to. I'm always looking for the best margarita I can find.
Dude, bro, I'm a margarita
A
drinker
lot of
myself.
options down here too, so it's kind of nice.
I know that's one thing I love about when I go, man, I always hit up the taco trucks.
Oh, they're the best, man. People don't
They're the
realize.
best. No, I'm like, forget the restaurant, go to the taco truck, bro.
I
It looks
agree.
sketch. It's not sketch. It's the best shit you're ever
The
going
best
to eat.
stuff.
Go
People
to
don't
the
know,
truck.
man. The hole in the
don't.
wall places are the best. Like we're like that with most cuisines. Like everyone needs the big sit down fancy restaurant. We're like, nah, man.
No,
The little like unknown or hole in the wall place always has the best. So
the
we like to go to the
best.
local places in Austin. Austin's got a cool scene for it. They got a lot of big restaurants too, but yeah, we're lucky, man. Like I think with the COVID stuff, everyone started moving here from like the West Coast, East Coast, so it brought a lot of like cool food here. So yeah, we're not lacking really for any good food. That's for sure.
No, you guys are not. Absolutely. Are you a coffee drinker, bro?
I am, man. This is iced coffee right here. So
I love it.
I love coffee. I actually didn't start drinking coffee till I was like in my like post college in my career. Like I had tried it a couple of times, but I was never really into it. And then just doing the long hours at work, like post college, I needed to stay up and I couldn't just keep drinking Red Bulls nonstop. So I got into coffee, and then I don't know, now I'm like a big coffee dude. So yeah, coffee's awesome. It's a necessity.
It is, dude. Absolutely. I got to have my cup of coffee. And it's funny because normally in the wintertime, most people drink warm coffee. I drink cold coffee. In the summertime, I drink warm coffee. It's
yeah, you're weird, man.
Dude, thank you. I am weird, right?
No,
but I like both.
Yeah.
Right, dude. Yeah, that's if we were all the same, the world would be bland, right?
A little boring. Yeah.
But I like ice baths too, though. So I'm a big advocate for jumping in the ice bath. Is that something you do?
I've done it in the past for injuries or for sports or just for overall health, but I don't have like an ice bath myself or anything. But dude, it's so good for you.
Shit is.
I don't want to sound like Rogan or anything, but man, it actually does make such a big difference.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's
sauna too.
I both. It's good to do both. Do hot and cold, right? So
yep.
You go out to we got God damn it. Brain fart, dude. True Value out here. And 100, you see the blow up $99 Nora Core and all these, portable tubs, which would be good, ideal for taking it to the race, right? But for one at your home, dude, you can go down here and get a Rubbermaid one where it's super thick plastic. It's got a drain. It's a Rubbermaid horse trough. It's like 175 gallon.
Wow.
It costs you like $150. And boom, you just pull wherever you want it, fill it up. Right there, man. Yeah, still.
That's an idea, dude. Like there were some hot rounds this year, especially Coda. Coda's always kind of brutal. So that's definitely a thought for 2025 right there.
Dude,
the ice
for
bath.
sure.
Yeah,
Dude,
I could not cool down. Like we got a garage in 2023 and this year we didn't. We were out in the pits and like I had the fan blowing on me all day and we went up in like the upper level to try to cool off, or like I went in the main building and just like laid on one of the couches and just like, man, dude, like yeah, we didn't have a toy hall or anything with AC, so it makes a difference, man. Like you go out there and try to like do something in a race that you're already 40% lethargic, it makes a big difference. So yeah, ice bath, good idea.
Well, yeah, man, you get them. Just wait till you catch them on sale. I think now they got a thing where you can go when you order one, you get like if you order the sauna, you get the ice bath free. If you do the ice bath, you pay extra for the sauna, whatever. But you can find deals on them. I recommend them to everybody because it helps stress, it helps anxiety, it helps with pain, it helps with there's all kinds of shit it helps with for real.
Absolutely
too. So that's the question I have too, because everybody has their own unique way of how they prepare for battle, is what I call it, right? Because when you're Leonidas going against the 300 Persians on the racetrack, right? Do you have a certain routine that AJ does to prepare for this battle? Meaning, are you like, oh man, I got to put my left boot on before my right boot?
Or, a little superstitious stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've tried to go away from it. I did have a little bit of that. Yeah, I think every rider has their routine for like getting suited up and whatnot, but nothing crazy. I'm trying to think. You're putting me on the spot. I'm sure I have like something weird that I do. I think like, nah, nothing too crazy. I think like the glove
socks or anything.
No lucky socks. But no, I think like putting the gloves on, I'll notice if I put the right glove on before the left glove. Like that's the only thing. Because I don't know why the left glove's got to go on first for some reason. It's probably the only thing.
I love it, dude. I love it. I'm not gonna say one of the strangest ones, but I asked my buddy Nolan Lampkin when he was on here. I was like, bro, what's your routine when you prepare for battle? Right? He's like, the only thing I do is I wear my socks inside out. And I was like, why do you wear your socks inside out? He's like, because of the seam where it's sewn, it gets up in your toes sometimes. I was like, dude, I can't stand that. He said, wear your socks inside out. So ever since I've had him on the podcast, I wear my socks inside out.
I'll try it.
Dude, bro, it was a game changer for me, 110%.
Huh.
Wear your socks inside out.
I used to be pickier about stuff, dude, and I've tried to take the attitude of like, F it, man, just super hooligans, dude, just send it. Like I used to wear like certain socks or like athletic performance socks or this. Now I'm just like wearing whatever, like I don't care. Or like one thing I was trying to figure out if like wearing a chain was lucky or not. Like try to look a little cooler, like I got a chain on, but it's like I don't know. I'm not convinced it makes you go any faster. So I was experimenting with that too.
Especially not a Mr. T chain, right? You're like, oh
no, sir. Now I need every ounce of weight off I could get against these Harleys and Indians and whatnot. So
I love it, dude. I love it. So I'm a big audiobook listener. I listen to a shit ton of audiobooks, right? I find if I do read books, but they're mostly shop manuals, like my RC51, my CRF 100, blah, 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 blah. But as far as that, it's audiobooks. Is that something you do too?
A lot, just because I'm like, I can never sit still. I love reading. I read a lot growing up and whatnot, but I just can't do it nowadays, man. Like, I gotta be doing something else. And especially like the adulting stuff, you're busy, so you can be cleaning or doing a chore or doing something else to drive and listen to an audiobook. So I do a lot and I love them. Yeah. I do quite a few.
Is there a recommendation for an audiobook you can recommend to people?
I do a lot of history stuff, dude. Like I'm a bit of a history nerd. So I do, like I went through like a big World War II aviation kick, reading a couple books about like even like that show that came out on Apple, like Masters of the Air,
dude,
about like the 100th
awesome show.
Group.
Yes.
Great show. And the book's amazing too, dude. So like a lot of stuff like that, like a lot of nonfiction, or like I don't know, other crazy stories. Like I read a I read a book about like the Donner Party, about like the cannibals and stuff, like the settler. Pretty wild stuff. Or like I'll do like ancient history with like the Romans, or like I read a book about the Mongols. So I don't know. I'm always listening to something random. And there's always like I always have like three going on at once. And like a couple days I'll listen to one, and I'll switch and I'll go back. So yeah, I listen to a lot.
I'm currently listening to I share everybody. So I'm currently listening to Mark Webber, the
Oh,
F1
nice. Oh
driver.
yeah, yeah, okay.
I listen to all kinds of books. I'm real big into Greek mythology, the
Hmm.
Egyptian mythology, so the Spartans and the pharaohs, and I listen to a lot of podcasts on that shit too, right? I listen to yeah, man, just crazy shit like the Matrix kind of style, like where AI is kind of going. I mean, that shit could really happen, but that's a whole nother topic, right?
I don't.
Uh
Yeah, that stuff scares me.
it scares the shit out of me too, for real.
And they're
Think
like, yeah, yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say, thinking back to where when our parents were young, we just had the black and white TV. Now we got these 80-inch flat screen TVs. I mean, hell, our fucking cell phones got more shit in it than the first space shuttle
I
launch
know.
to the moon, dude. It's like,
It's pretty
what are
wild.
we doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
definitely
scary how fast it's coming about. And like in my line of work too, like I'm seeing a lot about it that's like, I don't know, I'm not gonna raise my hand and be like, hey, what's the deal with this? Because that's a little outside of my purview. But dude, yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what the world's gonna look like in 20 years, man.
yeah, I
But
don't either, man. Nobody
you're saying
does.
history books and what. Do you listen to hardcore history? It's like a history podcast with
Uh
Dan Carlin, man. It is incredible.
I might have to look it
You
up.
have to check it out.
Hardcore history. Yeah,
It's called
text it
Hardcore
to me.
History.
I
Yeah,
do. I listen to
it's
hang on, I'm
wild.
pulling up now. I got one, the history of the Vikings, the ancients, um,
Right on.
Earth ancients. I listen to there's a casting through ancient Greece. Let's talk about myth is one that I listen to.
Nice.
Theories of the third kind, right? Because I like conspiracy theories too, right?
Yeah,
You gotta, dude. It's one thing I tell my friends is got to keep an open mind. Don't be so single minded, right? Ask questions
absolutely,
and
dude.
uh, yeah, set your mind free and your ass will follow for sure. Um, yeah, there's another one in here too that I like the history of Egypt.
Mhm.
Yeah, dude. So, dude, absolutely, I do. That's just very interesting because that's part of how we come to be. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, no, I always like imagine like being a person like that lived in like ancient Rome, or like 1,000 years ago in medieval Europe. It's just like, man, that's so wild to think about. Especially like knowing how easy and awesome my life is. Like literally, like we think it's hard, and like things are hard, sure. And everyone's life has its troubles and struggles and all that. But dude, like living back then, man, it'd be so wild. You know what
dude,
book you should read? It's on I don't know if you have Audible or what you use to listen, but
Apple Audible, yeah.
Empire of the Summer Moon. You should check that out.
Hang on.
It's a little Texas tidbit for you, because it's like the Comanche warriors that are from this area here in Austin, and like just the settlers and all the stories that came out of it. Like, dude, it seems like fake how wild it was, but it's super good book.
Empire, the Summer Moon. I just wrote
Yes,
it
sir.
down. I'll definitely check it out, dude. I'm big, dude. I'm big into audiobooks, just like
You'll dig it.
I'm big into podcasts too, right? Do
Yep.
obviously not freaking podcasts, but do you listen to any
I
podcasts?
listen to a lot. I listen to a lot, man. A couple of history ones. I listen to like Jocko and Sean Ryan for like
Yeah,
more
me
of the.
too.
I love
Yeah.
the military stuff, and then a lot of the comedy podcasts and whatnot. And like like Rogan was probably like the first big podcast I listened to. Like
Rogan's a G, bro. We all listen to Rogan, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah, especially
mandatory. You
nowadays,
got
man.
to.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously. But a lot of the comedy podcasts, like Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker, their podcast is like probably my favorite. But yeah, Theo Vaughn, like I love that dude. I've seen
me
that guy
too.
a few times
Yeah,
live, and
Theo's
then we
awesome.
got there's a huge comedy scene here now in Austin, so it's pretty sweet, dude. Like I'm on like their email list, so they'll just email you like when tickets are available for whatever show, and it could be like a big headliner, it could be like just local dudes. But now the local dudes are like Joe Rogan, Shane Gillis, Tom Segura, like all these guys. So it's fun to go down to, and then just like on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and go see a show. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome, man. I listen to all that too. Joe Rogan. One that I can recommend that actually a buddy of mine turned me on to. Hang on, let me get it because I don't want to fuck it up because I'll listen to this. He'd be like, dude, you fucked up the podcast. Blah blah blah. And I got into them too, man, because I like this stuff. One is Matt Beal, Limitless is good.
Okay.
And this one right here, I've been binge listening to this guy, the Danny Jones podcast.
Okay. I feel like I've heard of that one.
Yeah, man. He does, interviews all kinds of people.
Oh, nice.
And
that's pretty cool.
CIA to scientists to
have you
astrophysicists and all that. Have I what?
I was gonna say, have you seen like Lex Friedman? I think he does something similar.
I have Lex Friedman on
he's
here.
He's got some crazy interviews. One podcast that's pretty fun is like, I think it's Last Podcast on the Left. Have you heard of that? It's like there are 3 comedians and they do like serial killers and crazy murderers and like, I don't know, it's a comedic true crime podcast. It's pretty cool. It's kind of a fun little like 1 hour listen or something. They tell like crazy stories about whatever, aliens and murder, but they make it like, I don't know, as lighthearted as you could be with that subject, but it's pretty good.
I love it, dude. I love shit like that. The whole UFO, aliens, and murder. Of course, my wife's a big case. She listens to. She sent me one, and I actually got into it too. Matter of fact, I was listening to. Was it freaking Ohio? Was it in Ohio? There's like a town that got evicted by the military, and it's like super haunted. Man, I forget the freaking name of the brain fart. But she sent me that, and I was all into that at work. Like, they're like, what are you listening to? I was like, shh, I'm listening here, man. Leave me alone. All right. Like, God damn, I'm trying to do me right now.
It's research.
Research. Yeah. I'm actually doing research. Dude. So, I watched a lot of things. I'm currently binge watching. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. Okay. I love The Walking Dead. Now my buddy's like, dude, you got to watch Fear the Walking Dead. So I'm binge watching the shit out of that right now.
Oh, right.
But is there anything that you and your fiance are currently watching that you can recommend to people too?
Dang, we watch a lot of stuff, dude. I don't know. We just got Apple TV like not long ago, and we just like kind of were going through the shows on there. I think I got it because Masters of the Air, like the World War II bomber show. Started with that, great show, and then we kind of just were checking out other shows on Apple that were like pretty sick, like Silo was one. It's like all these people that live in like an underground post-apocalyptic society, but you don't know if like the government's lying to the people or like it's all this. It's pretty wild. And then there was one where this dude can like, it's with what's his name, Joel Edgerton. He's a pretty good actor. He's in like that movie Warrior, like the MMA movie with Tom Hardy. He's like the main character, and he can like transfer realities, and like another version of him comes and steals his life, and he has to like go find his like actual reality. And I don't know, we watch a lot of shit, but like more standard shows we watch, like I don't know, I love like Peaky Blinders, a lot of HBO
I'm watching that too. Peaky Blinders
is sick.
Yes,
like Game of Thrones I was big into, and like I read those books and whatnot. Dude, I read all those books on like my iPhone in college. Like I used to read a lot, man. Like just swiping on my little Kindle app on my iPhone for like night after night. Like, and that was before the show came out. I feel like an OG with Game of Thrones. But yeah, I don't know, man. There's probably on the spot, it's hard to like think up what you watch. You know what I mean? Especially like a good recommendation for people. But yeah.
Speaking of Apple TV, so I'm a big Apple guy. I've been with Apple since I think the iPhone 5 or 6. I can't remember. But dude, recommendation, Foundation on Apple TV is a really good one.
Dude, I love Foundation.
Dude, great, right? And Ted Lasso, bro, you gotta watch Ted Lasso.
I know that. Bro. I'm aware that I need to watch Ted Lasso. I haven't done it yet. I just like serious stuff too much. Like I will like it, I'm sure.
You're gonna love it.
But yeah, I've heard it's very, very good. Yeah, Foundation is sick, man.
Foundation.
Apparently that was like the first sci-fi book like ever written, or something, or like it created the genre. And then like Dune was written right after that or something. But yeah, Foundation is very good show. Very cool.
I forget what I'm on. I'm still on the first season because I just started it, but I think I'm on episode 5, I think.
Of Foundation?
Yeah.
Right on.
It's a crazy show, you know. And then Ozark, I've been watching Ozark. I'm like you, right? So I'll get a couple series kind of going at the same time, and like I'll do like, okay, I'm 2 episodes into this, and not every episode's gonna grab you by the balls and bring you straight in where you just go into it. It kind of goes on other paths, and you find yourself playing like a game on your phone. You're like,
I know, it's like the end of the day. You're like, I don't have an hour of staring at a screen in me right now. I gotta,
because it don't grab you and pull you in. But then I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go watch. I'm gonna turn on Foundation. Then I didn't watch 2 of these. I didn't lost interest. Let me get in this, and then
Nice.
yeah,
That one's sick, dude.
it is
Super weird.
It's good. It's good
The
because
triple emperor thing with like,
Bro.
he's a young boy, he's a grown man, he's an old. It's like, what the? And they just rotate and they just regrow, and that's not spoiling anything, is it?
No,
I think it is. Whoops.
No, because they tell that early on. Like you kind of get, you're like, what's
right.
going on with the old man? And they all kind of look alike. And then they show the baby being born, and the kid wakes up and he goes down there and sees his predecessor that's going to come. It's like,
and that actor's so good.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Lee Pace, I think is his name.
Yes.
That dude's such a good actor.
One show I do recommend to people too is The Boys, bro. That show,
I love The Boys,
dude.
Show's gnarly.
It's fucking awesome, is what it is, dude. It's
especially after all the Marvel like oversaturation, just like all the stuff they constantly release. It's like, okay, what about a show where superheroes are super effed up and murder people? And it's a good show.
I love it, dude. It was great. My cousin actually turned me on to it. My brother-in-law. He's like, dude, you got to watch The Boys. And I was like, man, I ain't got time to watch no other show right now. He's like, dude, I'm telling you, Simcoe, you need to watch.
Try one episode. Yeah.
Bro, so I went to YouTube, like we all do YouTube, right? I put in The Boys, and it showed the very episode 1, the very beginning of the scene where the dude's holding his girl hands, and in the Flash, the character that's
the fast
dude runs right through her, dude, and he's just standing there and fucking explodes her, and he's like, oh. I was like, oh my God, dude, this is awesome. Yeah, so that's what. Yeah, absolutely. But I ask everybody this because I'm such a huge Star Wars fan, dude. So are you a Star Wars or a Star Trek fan?
Oh, okay. Star Wars. I mean, I love Star Trek too, but Star Wars for me, dude. Like the prequels were coming out when I was young, and like I had seen the OG ones, and like Star Wars all the way. I mean, I love Star Trek too, but Star Wars.
What character would you be, AJ, in Star
Wars? Man. I don't know. What trilogy? I don't really like the new Disney stuff. I'll be honest, but
let's just go the older, the first 3 movies.
Well, everyone wants to be Han Solo, man. I feel like
Han Solo.
Luke's the hero and all that, but everyone knows Han Solo's the coolest. Come on, so probably Han Solo.
Absolutely, I do. So, and I ask everybody this because everybody's got one, bro. Celebrity crush on me.
Celebrity crush. I don't know. I don't know if my fiance would even know this. I don't know. I actually don't think I can't think of one. Like I like the film industry, and like I follow like actors and actresses and like movies and directors and shit, but I don't know if I have like a crush. I know that's boring.
No, it's not boring.
Put me on the spot, man.
I know. That's what I like to do. Put you on, make you think.
That was a good one. No, I don't know.
All right. Just think on that. We'll I'll save that one for our part 2 of the podcast.
Right on.
Do you like spicy food? Because I'm a huge advocate for
spice. I love
it.
Absolutely, man.
So do you watch the Hot Ones on YouTube?
Yes.
Interviews. So The Last Dab, I got 3 bottles of that, and I'm almost out. I need to order some more.
I've tried the original Last Dab. It's pretty
it's hot. Dude,
it's hot, but it tastes good. It actually
it's got great flavor. That's what I keep telling people. And so I took it. So my who is he related to me? My mom's cousin. I don't get lost in this whole thing. Anyway, I just call it my family. My cousin, my cousin moved to China. He's a bigwig at GE. His brother would come out there and they would go to Thailand. So he meets this girl. He brings her back. They end up getting married. She has 2 kids, yada, yada, yada. This is how I fell in love with Thai food, right? I love Thai food. So she knows I like spicy. So she's making all this hot fucking spice, and I'm just banging it out, sweating, right? And everybody's like, this fucking dude's crazy. So I bring her The Last Dab. I was like, hey, I just got it in. You got to try this hot sauce. And she tried that, dude. She looked at me. She's like, you're fucking crazy. Like, this is just not good. It's super, super hot. I was like, oh, it's got great flavor. She's like, no, I don't. Absolutely not.
Dang.
But she does she gave me the recipe off the top of my head. It's that, it's fish sauce. She used serrano peppers, that Thai sugar. It's brown. It comes in a cube or whatever. What else is in it? There's a couple other ingredients, man, and it's absolutely what I love about it is I love a hot sauce. I'm not talking about The Last Dab, but I love stuff that when you put it on a food, AJ, it doesn't change the flavor profile. Of the food. It
adds to it, right?
It adds to it, right? So one that I've learned, and my mom actually turned me on to it, was if you take grapeseed oil, or you could use extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil and crush red pepper. That's it. The longer it sits, the hotter it's going to get, but it's only going to get as hot as the crushed pepper, as the crushed red is, right? But when you put it in your soups or your salads or your burgers, and you put it in, or however you use it, it just adds that heat and doesn't change the flavor profile. And I think that's a trick for that, to me, is what makes a really good hot sauce versus a hot sauce that's just too overpowering.
Yeah.
Right. But there is certain situations where you just want that. So real quick, have you tried the hottest hot wings at Buffalo Wild Wings?
Yep.
Buffalo Wings.
I've done that. Not in a while.
Yeah,
I was a lot younger, but yeah, definitely. Of course, man.
I went out. Well, it's been a while too for me, probably about 2 years. My buddy was like, I'll buy your meal if you do this. I'm like, no fucking problem. I've never even had it before, right? I got this, bitch. Like, no problem. So we get out there and she orders it. Everybody's looking at me like, he's going to do the hot shit. I'm like, whatever. Just bring me my beer and bring them over here. I need ranch. You can't have nothing with them. Okay. Well, I'm just going to bang them out. The trick that I found is, if you could eat something that's really hot, you just instantly just bang them. Don't stop. Don't chew. Just bite, swallow, bite, swallow, bite. You deal with the shit later, right? So I got like 12 of them. I'm 7 of them in. Just bam, 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 bam. Just, dude, constantly, literally.
You need to do a challenge, man.
So he's like, this shit it can't be that hot. So he takes one and it's about 2 or 3 bites into it, and he runs off to the bathroom, comes back. Yeah, you're fucking crazy, man. Blah 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 blah. So I'm banging them all out. I was like, well, the one you stole from me don't count, right? So you still got to pay for my meal. Was it hot? Absolutely, it was hot. Was it good? Absolutely not. It wasn't good. But the hottest thing I ever done, AJ, I'm trying to remember what it was. Is some sort of peanut challenge. There were 13 million Scoville peanuts.
Oh, yeah.
6. Dude, I ate 6 of them bitches.
Oof.
And bro.
Yeah, dude, you're at another level from me, man. Like, I'll eat hot stuff, but not, you sound like you need to like compete, I think.
No.
You need to like,
no.
I don't know. Dude, you might need to release a hot sauce. I feel like you know enough about how it works. You should have, you could have different flavors. You could have a Hooligans flavor. Dude,
that's a great idea. Junior Cup flavor.
Yeah.
Yes, dude, that's a great idea. Hooligan flavor, hot. Yeah, Superbike would be the Carolina Reaper, right?
Yeah, it'd probably have to be the hottest. Yeah. That'd be awesome, dude. That'd be a good idea, man.
It would be. I couldn't label it like Moto America or anything. I'd have to do. It'd be Pin the Gas hot sauces. Would it?
Yeah, there you go.
Idea. I'm gonna have to. And I like to cook, so I can make it myself, right?
Yeah, you could.
That's a good idea, right there.
Bring to the races, man.
So let me ask you this, man. If you can invite any 3 people to a private track day, AJ, right? It could be any 3 people in the whole world. It could be your family. It could be your best friends. It could be Valentina Rossi. It could be Barry Sheen. Anybody. What 3 people you going to bring to your track day?
Has anyone ever said someone that's not a rider?
There's been several. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Man, okay. Well, obviously Rossi and Nikki right off the bat. Like, those are my 2 goats for sure. Third one, who would hang out with me, Rossi and Nikki? I don't know. I almost want to say Marquez just to mix it up, but
fight for sure.
Get like the insight into all those years of strife. But man, the third person, I don't know. It would have, okay, let's go with like, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm gonna say George Washington, just to blow that dude's mind of like, what is happening right now? Like, bring like a historical figure to like a modern motorcycle track, and just, yeah, I sometimes think about that, if like the people in that like founding fathers generation could like see us all like on computers and phones and cars and just like skyscrapers and shit. Yes, okay, I'll go with that. Rossi, Nikki, and George Washington.
I love it. He's got to bring the was it the cherry tree chopped down?
I think so, right?
Yeah. I ain't been in school in a hot minute, but yeah, I think it is. Let me so if you had your own private island, what's the one racetrack you'd have on your island?
Oof, probably Laguna.
Yeah, Laguna's
goated, man.
Cadwell Park. Everybody knows it's my favorite. BSB is my absolute favorite race.
I've heard you say that before,
dude, bro. I'm telling you, I
mean, it is wild. Those guys are sending it.
It's not that. And I get shit from my friends, and I say it all the time. They're like, I don't understand Moto America, you blah blah. I was like, dude, but what you guys failed to see is their super bikes have less electronics than their super stock bikes. Like they're literally riding 260 horsepower with hardly no electronic assist. That's old school, proper way of racing. That's where the true rider makes the difference, not MotoGP is more like an engineer sport, like F1 right now, right? There's just so much shit going on. You look at the cockpit of a MotoGP bike, it's like a fucking alien spaceship. You're like, I have no idea what to even do, what buttons to hit. It's just like,
did you see Unoni this weekend, like trying to figure out the launch?
That's what I'm saying.
No, you make a good point too.
It's
BSB's got like a certain ruggedness to it, kind of like a hooligans on a super bike. And the British dudes, they get after it, man. They're fast. So I like it too. BSB you go to crazy tracks that I feel like a lot of series wouldn't go to. They race in weather that a lot of people would not be down for. And then they get after it. Yeah.
It's and you can watch it for free. I tell everybody that. Bennett'sBritishSuperbike.com. There you go. Right. It's amazing. But yeah, it's I love it, dude. Cadwell Park's just hard. I played on a video game. I fucking suck. It's hard track to learn. It really is. Riding in real life would be different, but video games.
Honestly, riding in the video games is harder nowadays. Like if you play the new like MotoGP game or whatever, I think real riding's honestly easier. It flows more naturally than the game.
It does.
You can't replicate our sport on a controller.
No.
You need
it's difficult.
And like the F1 dudes have like the rigs, the whole like sim rigs. It's like maybe if they make one for like a motorcycle, it would be better, but that seems pretty advanced. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. They got the moto trainers now, but it's not who can afford a $20,000 video game setup, right? And you got to provide your own bike to do it too, right? At that, so
yeah. And like it's hard to replicate little things that happen on a real bike on a sim, like you just shifting your weight an extra inch or moving your head in a certain direction or the little, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be tough. It's such a unique sport, dude.
It is. I call it, AJ, our beautiful circus, right? Because that's what it is. It's such a small community, and I'm talking road racing all around the world. We're such a small,
it really is,
bubble compared to everybody else. It's yeah, man, absolutely, it is. So, dude, AJ, I'm gonna end this podcast here in a minute. We're an hour and 40 into this. I gotta go out here and finish this loaded potato soup I'm making for dinner.
Oh, right on, dude.
Yes, dude. Yes. So, are you Xbox or PlayStation guy?
I'm PC, man.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I'll say Xbox obviously too, because of Microsoft owns Xbox, obviously. But yeah, so I do have an Xbox, but I game on PC, man.
I love
keyboard.
Yeah, I need to do that. Everybody keeps telling me that. I got a PS5 I play on, but
I'm not hating on the consoles at all, man. It's an easy thing to jump into, just play with friends, and there's certain games that only come out on console too. But the type of PC games like me and my buddies play are pretty fun. So yeah, I game when I can, but not often.
Me too.
But, yeah.
Me too, buddy. Me too. Let me ask you this, man. What advice would you give to the up and coming future riders of our sport?
Yeah, man, just to anyone that wants to do it, obviously you have to be in a position that you're lucky enough to have support from friends and family and whatnot, but just keep an open mind and work hard and don't get overly frustrated. Don't make leaps too quickly. Like I think like one thing that's helped me is just like incremental jumps to get better at certain things and really focus on learning, like have an open mind with being able to learn at any time on or off the bike and from whoever, and keep like your fitness up to speed and always try to stay as healthy as you can. And yeah, I mean, I even am guilty of not riding enough. I often won't ride between some hooligan rounds just because I'm too busy with other life shit. But yeah, I mean, if you're a young person in a position to where you want to race, just persevere, keep at it. I see people get too caught up in certain expectations they build up internally, and then when they don't hit them, it's like a mental setback, but it shouldn't be, right? It's like all your failures just lead to eventual success. So you just gotta, it's all about mindset, like we talked about earlier, dude. So that's probably the main thing.
It is. Well, last question I'm gonna ask for you. I'm gonna save the rest for part 2, but what's life after racing, bro? Meaning that do you want to stay involved in the sport somehow, or?
Definitely, man. Yeah, like whenever I stop riding, hopefully not too soon. But yeah, no, I mean, with getting married and wanting to have kids and do like normal life stuff, obviously too, and do all that, I definitely want to stay involved and like eventually someday have my kids be involved, whether I've daughters or sons, like definitely want them to get on a bike and get after it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with the next generation of my line does racing wise. But I'll always stay involved, man, and I'll always be a fan of the sport at Moto America, MotoGP, BSB, like every level. So definitely something that you can't just not be involved in. I feel like once you love it as much as we do, like it's always going to be there.
No, it is. It is. You're right. It's man, I couldn't imagine life without motorcycles. I tell people that it's something for me individually, and I can only speak of my experience. It's something that it's such an honor and such fortunate, I feel like, in my life that I found my true love and my passion at such a young age that I knew no matter what I did, it was going to revolve around motorcycles somehow. Right. And motorcycles give me a feeling that nothing else I can replicate can give me that same satisfaction and that feeling, right? It's just crazy, man, that what it does to you. You know what I'm saying? It's your first true love. I would say it's my first true love.
Maybe.
My unconditional true love.
Something addicting about it. Yeah, it's something so unique. Like you'll never be able to explain to someone that's never done it, like what it feels. And like I think the same thing about when I watch like Pecco and Martin battle, man. It's like I ride at a certain level that if I rode at that level, it's another realm. It's like I don't know what that feels like. So there's levels to the game, dude. Like, but it's awesome at any level, right? Like even to just throw a leg over a bike and putt around in a parking lot. Like for some people, that's like the craziest thing they've ever done. Like, and for the first time you do it, you're like, this is so sick. Like, so yeah,
this is
motorcycles
awesome.
are an awesome thing, man.
It is. So let me ask you this then. Last question: are you Team Pecco or Team Bagnaia? Dude, I said that backwards. Team Martin or Team Pecco?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm probably Team Martin. Like I've always liked Martin. He's a cool dude. I like Pecco too, but he's got the factory support. He's won the last 2 years. He's got a lot more wins on Sunday than Martin, I think, this year. But it comes down to consistency too. So I think we'll see what happens in this last race. I watched the Malaysia race this morning, and God, it was incredible, dude. Like that was the highest level of perfection of like battling aggressively, not over the limit, kind of still respectfully, but like that was like top tier racing right there. Just seeing two dudes at the actual limit, like no one can keep up with them battling. Like it was such a good race. So overall, I hope Martin does it. He's leaving Ducati next year, so who knows what that means in his future success. So this might be his one shot, at least for the next couple of years. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking too soon, but yeah, Martin's the man, dude. Like I'll probably have sided with the Italian over the Spaniard in previous years, obviously with like, Rossi and Marquez and whatnot. But this year, yeah, Team Martin.
Man, I'm Team Martin too. I love Pecco, man. Ever since Rossi retired, haven't had my heart Rossi and Nicky Hayden and Marco Simoncello. Those are my three favorites all time, right? But newer generation. Since neither one of them are racing, well, Rossi in the car, I find myself, I'm not such a diehard fan. I take it back. I'm a super diehard fan now. For all my friends that race, right? Meaning you and Cole King and everybody that races in Moto America and BSB. I'm a huge advocate, more so than I was for Rossi and Hayden then, because I know you personally, I'm emotionally attached, and I want to see you guys and girls achieve your dreams, right? And being part of that journey and helping you guys come on the podcast and talking. And it's different than being a fan of somebody you don't know personally, right? But yeah, of course, I think Pedro Acosta's the new kid on the block, of course.
Yeah, man.
I really like him. I like Jorge Martin. I like Pecco too, but I want to see Jorge Martin win the title for three simple facts. One, to say to Ducati, right? And I love Ducati for not believing in them, taking the number one plate to Aprilia, right? So that's something unique.
Yeah. When was the last time someone won? And then, probably Rossi, right? They won the title and then switched. Or did Stoner do that as well? Maybe he did. I don't know. But yeah, pretty wild, right?
No, Stoner didn't. He wasn't the championship.
Rossi did though on the Yamaha or on the Honda to the Yamaha.
To the Yamaha. Yep. Absolutely.
Pretty wild. It's like 20 years, which is crazy.
Man. Right, dude. He elevated the game so much. That's another question. People are like, "Oh, dude, Mark Marquez is a goat." And Rossi is like, "Dude, they're two different eras." Yes, Marquez come in. He was the flesh blood. He brought he brought a certain uniqueness to MotoGP that was missing. But what Rossi elevated MotoGP, he made MotoGP what it was, right? If you go back through his career, he started out on 252 strokes, 125s, 500s, went to the first era of 4 strokes. So he had to totally change his riding style.
Then 800cc.
Dude, and then all the electronics coming in with the wings, dude. Dude, he evolved so much with his riding style and his mental state that he's the fucking GOAT, people. Get out of here with that shit.
Don't make me go on my Rossi rant, dude, about all of it. Basically what you said, but like he went from the best bike to the worst bike. Like Marquez is insanely talented, the dude's fast as hell, but I don't see him going from the best bike to the worst bike and then keep winning. Different eras for sure. Rossi's done it all, man. He did the 2 strokes, 4 strokes, 800cc, the back to 1,000, then the Aero era, all the new shit right before he retired.
Ride height and all that bullshit,
man. Yeah, crazy. Dude's the man.
It is. But listen, I'm gonna let you in the podcast here in a minute, but I need to give all my shout outs real quick. First and foremost, thanks to everybody that listens to this podcast. I love every single one of you. You guys don't know what an honor it is to, much less I never thought I'd be podcasting, but much less being so well received and loved by all you guys and girls. So nothing but love for everybody out there. It means the world to me. If you haven't had a chance yet, go to all my stuff and hit that like and subscribe. It helps me out because I'm like, AJ, I don't get paid to do this. I pay to do it, right? But I just want to say Next Level Financial for all your financial needs. BisonTrack.com. People, don't buy the Offer Rack suit. Trust me. Get you a custom suit. Chef Eats. I know you heard of Chef Eats, bro. I'm a huge friend. So all these sponsorships, they are my personal friends, and I don't ask nothing from none of them. Like, I don't get paid from none of them, right? I just want to see them, like you, AJ, realize their dreams and get where they want to be, right, in life. So same thing with Chef Eats, dude. Jeff Servin, his meals are absolutely amazing. He does the athletes' meals. There's all kinds of meals he can make for you, whether you want to eat them at home or at the racetrack. But I highly recommend Chef Eats, dude. He sends me, I got some meals from him that I paid for, steak and chicken. And dude, they're juicy, they're tender. It's 3 minutes and 30 seconds in the microwave, and it's freaking amazing, right? You don't have to bring a grill and the charcoal or gas and none of that shit. Just bring a microwave, plug it up to the generator. You got breakfast, lunch, and dinner right there, right? Super easy clean up. Not a lot of shit to take with you. Just freezer packed, and boom, you're good to go. It's absolutely amazing meals, dude. I've tried all of Home Chef, freaking what's the other one? Fresh and Lean. I've tried Hello Fresh, man. I've tried all that shit, right? Because, dude, our life's so busy. You want to have healthy meals and not spend a whole lot of time in the kitchen because we just don't have it, right? But if you haven't tried it yet, AJ, I highly recommend it. And to everybody out there, chefeats.com. Big shout out to Flying Eyes Optics for all your sunglass needs. These right here, my favorite sunglasses I've ever wore and I've ever had. They are actually made and assembled in Austin, Texas. They are made. Look at these, dude. They're made to wear underneath a motorcycle helmet, or if you're flying a plane or whatever, you can get them a prescription. They're the lightest sunglasses. And I used to let my wife's friend borrow them, man, but they keep trying to steal them. So I'm like, you gotta get my glasses back, right? But listen, if anybody's interested, flyingeyesoptics.com, use the discount code PENDEGAS10, get 10% off. Big shout out to SFL Mini GP, Jersey, and South Florida. Man, that's where all our future of legends of our sport are coming out right now. I mean, we got Avery, his sister Ella, Isaac Woodworth, Andrew Way. The list goes on and on, dude. Brandon Posh, Gus Rodeo. Listen, superstars, and they're coming from SFL Mini. What I love about SFL Mini, AJ, is if you're 50 years old or you're 4 years old and your mom and dad want to take you out and learn how to properly ride a motorcycle, all you do is register, sign up. You don't have to have a bike, leathers, boots, gloves, helmets, nothing. They provide everything. So it's no excuse, no bullshit. Sign up, pay your registration fee, have the most fun you can ever have in your life, right? So highly recommended. SFL Mini GP, big shout out to RD Racing, my mates out there in the UK, and Jake Marsh. Vet2 Tracks, all my vet friends out there. My buddy Jim has an organization where he tackles and PTSD. I always get that backwards. One lap at a time. So he'll get you out there and bring around motorcycles and races and just whatever mentally you're dealing with. Forget all that. Have the most fun you can have. And yeah, let's go. Right. 64 Degree Racing, Tate, absolutely amazing human being. He made me I meant to take it. Where is it at? Oh, right here behind me. My 2-piece custom undersuit right here, AJ. Everybody knows it. I don't care if you're a track day rider, you're a Moto America legend such as AJ. Everybody's got to have more than one undersuit. Don't show up to the track, especially if you can do it for multiple days. People, listen to what I'm saying. With one undersuit, you don't want to do that. Trust me. We all have multiple undersuits. AJ's laughing because he knows this is how we learn and figure it out. Okay. So I have multiple. I got Bison undersuits. I got everybody who does the Under Armour and all that. I got RS Tachi. I got, listen, 64 Degree Racing, Tate, his undersuit, he made me 2 pieces. Dude, it's absolutely amazing. So if anybody's interested in the undersuit, 64 Degree Racing, the Clothing Kings, they've been with me pretty much since day one. You guys can go to clothingkings.co.uk and get all your Pendergast merch out there over there in the UK. Hats, beanies, soft shell jackets, the whole nine. So big shout out to Martin over there at the Clothing King. If anybody here in America or around the world wants to order anything from anybody, go to STG. Sports Bike Track Gear, right? I mean, they're simply amazing. Max Van and Brian Van. Big shout out to Road Racing World. I need people to go out there and donate to the Road Racing World Fund, which provides our air fencing. So legends as AJ can show up to the racetrack and be safe in case anything happens, right? So it's very important that we have that. And if you're lucky enough, you can actually show up at a Moto America event, and I forget what the amount is. I think it's $350 maybe. You get a 2-up ride with Chris Ulrich, which is another legend, which would be really cool. But it's a good cause, right? It also goes towards the Air Fence Fund, which is crucial in our sport. So almost last but not least, before I let AJ take it over, if anybody's looking at a dealership here on the East Coast, buying a dirt bike, a street bike, getting engine work done, tuning, or any of that, look no further than the Carnes Performance in Pennsylvania. Jason is absolutely amazing. He supports people in Moto America too as well. You guys know Elisa, Gendron, Belen, and of course Levy Batty, right, with the Carnes Performance Racing and Junior Cup. He has his own shop. It's absolutely amazing. That's where I'm going to buy my son's dirt bike from for Christmas this year, because I'd rather support my friends in the industry versus somebody I don't know, even though they're in the industry, right? Big shout out, last but not least, dude, KYT Americas, right? Best helmets there is out there on the grid. Super light, super comfortable, FIM homologated. Yeah, so if you're in the market for a helmet, KYT Americas, don't look nowhere else. That's enough of me running my mouth. AJ, tell everybody where they can find you on social medias, and do you have any merch for sale? Are you going to have any merch coming up this year or any?
I should do that. No, yeah, I don't right now, but maybe 2025 will make it happen. But yeah, KYT Americas, like you said, dude, best helmet, man. I wore KYT this past season and I loved it. So awesome support from them. But yeah, I mean, my social media is usually just my last name, or first and last name, Aj Peaslee. So I need to definitely step the game up with content, especially racing related. But we'll make that happen for next year. But yeah, man, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for having me, dude. So you have a great show, and what you do for the sport is awesome, and awesome to listen to, awesome to be a part of. So it was an honor, dude.
Listen, the honor's all mine, bro. It really is. And thank you so much for your love, support, and everybody else is out there, because without you guys and girls, I wouldn't be here doing this too as well, right? And the main reason why I do it, AJ, I tell everybody, of course, it's to help. It's to help, first and foremost, our sport to grow, right? And give the voice and a platform for people that wouldn't have a voice in a platform or don't get the opportunity for a voice in a platform in our sport, right? Because I find far too often that there's everybody focuses on the legends of our sport that's already made it, right? Nobody's focusing on Junior Cup or the last place in Super Sport, or people that's doing the same things, trying to make a living out of our super expensive sport. But the main reason why I do it, AJ, is for my son, Hayden Rossi. Yes, I named him after Nikki and Valentino. Is when I'm not here, you can always to go back to YouTube, Spotify, and iHeart and listen to his dad flap his freaking gums for however long
That's awesome.
on an
I didn't know
episode.
that.
You know, yeah, dude, absolutely. It is. That's my way of also giving back to the sport, is giving back to my everything, which is my mini me. It's what I've called him since he was born, right? So, yeah, absolutely. But ladies and gentlemen, listen, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. If you haven't watched the MotoGP race again, what are you doing with your life, right? It was an absolute honor to sit down with the legend himself today, Aj
Yes, sir.
Peaslee. Yeah,
Thank you for having me, man.
so much, man. Yeah, I can't wait for part 2, bro. But I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Let's
of course,
go.
dude.
Absolutely. All right, let me end this. Boom.